fields with fearless pride. Across the seas where the legends never hide. Storm clouds gathered, but my heart never bends with my steed. I'm the knight in all the sword swimming by, riding through the mist with honor as my guide. Blade sharp, sharper than a dragon's might. In the cause of power, I'm the Lord of Might. Marching through the battlefields with fearless pride. Across the seas where the legends never hide. Storm clouds gathered, but my heart never bends with my steed.
Must I break it down for you? Yes, break it down. It would be criminal if you didn't. Must I break it down?
Hey, what's up, Sailor Outlaw George? What's up? What's up? What's up? Lots to talk about. Holy crap. Uh, lots to talk about. Lots to talk about. Hey, service, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up with my camera? There we go. Hold on, let me fix it a little bit. There we go. There we go. Alrighty, welcome to Knightcast, everybody. I am your host, Anime Knight. We have a lot to talk about. So first off, let's start with our usual. We'll start with the gaming news first. Hope everybody has having a wonderful night, and all things considered. And 1 second. I know, I heard about that actually. That's actually pretty cool. That is actually pretty cool. With that that said though, let's see. We're gonna dive in. Well, we got some Sony news, and Sony is never gonna learn. They are never gonna learn why people hate them. And just a moment. So it seems that let's see, in today's news, Sony ignores Helldivers 2 backlash with The Last of Us 2 with The Last of Us Part 2 PC port PSN login demand. Sony has confirmed that The Last of Us Part 2 remaster will require a PSN login for its PC release. While the thoughts of creating yet another account next to Steam, Epic, and other digital storefronts is already frustrating enough, the bigger issue lies in the regions without PSN support. The port is set to launch on April 3rd of this year, but will be unavailable for players in those regions, proving Sony has learned nothing from the Helldivers 2 fiasco in May of last year. Last year, Sony faced backlash when it announced Helldivers 2 would require a PSN login for PC players. This led to a wave of negative reviews until Sony backtracked on that decision and made Helldivers 2 a PSN-free title. Despite this, Sony has continued the practice with other PC releases. This includes God of War Ragnarok, which we already went over and everything, but also different titles like Horizon Zero Dawn, Remastered Ghost of Tsushima, Until Dawn, and plenty more. Sony originally claimed the PSN requirement was for the safety and security of online play. Yeah, fucking right. Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, right, Sony. I see you with your garbage. Hey, what's up, James? Oh boy. Yeah, Sony is complete garbage. Naughty Dog's Last of Us 2 first launched in June of 2020 as a PlayStation 4 exclusive. The game is a sequel to the critically acclaimed The Last of Us, continuing and expanding the story as players take control of Ellie and Abby. The remaster version for the PS5 came out in January 19th of last year, actually. So in 4 days from now, it'll be the 1 year anniversary of that. Hey, Shiny, what's up, buddy? Overall, the game received acclaim for gameplay and audio and visuals, though many users were less than impressed with story and characters. Yeah, yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. They need to lose more money. So, with this said, say knee. Well, it's our greenback soy knee. That's actually pretty funny. Nevertheless, The Last of Us Part 2 is a good single player game to play, and the addition of roguelike inspired no return mode and our gameplay tweaks make the remaster version the definitive edition for fans. The news of The Last of Us where's it? Okay. The news of The Last of Us Part 2 PC port has certainly put a smile on the face of many fans of the post-apocalyptic survival adventure. Yeah. I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. Modern hardware will be able to take full advantage of the gaming's stunning visuals along with smoother gameplay. However, the excitement is dampened by the PSN requirement, which will keep many potential players away from the game. Good. After all, what is the point in restricting single player games to PSN eligible regions? Single player titles like The Last of Us 2 gain nothing from this added barrier. That is correct. That is correct. Why alienate an entire base? Because I know there are some regions that over in the seas that don't have PSN nor care to get one. So they miss out on all the games and everything. And with the crackdowns of gaming in general with what's going on and everything, um it's just it's just silly. Oh man. No, I'm not. I'm not fapping. I'm not fapping. With this said, though, Sony is just shooting itself in the foot yet again, by doing this. They're like, they didn't learn last time. They did not learn. They're like, oh, well, how can we continue to get hated on? Let's add more. Let's make the PC port PSN linked. No, I was reading for a moment. I was just making sure I read everything correctly. In other news, let's see what we got going on. What else do we got going on? So it looks like we got some more news coming. Rebel Wolves, the new studio led by director of The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077, drops first trailer for debut title The Blood of Dawn Walker. In breaking the 3-year long radio silence they've maintained ever since announcing their initial formation, Night Raid. Yes, please. Come over and raid my channel, guys. Raid it. Um, the former CD Projekt Red dev heavy team as the fledgling Rebel Wolves studio has finally dropped the first trailer for their highly anticipated dark RPG, The Blood of Dawnwalker. As many players would argue, CD Projekt Red is no longer uh, a sacred name in the video game industry. Following the year and universal praise given to Witcher 3, their follow-up title, Cyberpunk 2077, was heavily criticized upon release for the buggy, broken state in which it would hit the market, with the resulting back and forth between players and CD Projekt Red exposing the company's issues regarding rush dev plans and investor-driven deadlines. Yeah, investor-driven deadlines. Though the game has since been vastly improved thanks to further dev work from CG Project Red, the game's launch was so disastrous that the studio's CEO, Mikhail Nowachowski, has fears the entire affair may have permanently damaged their reputation. Further, their standing with the fans has also been shaken by their adoption of destroy economic destroy, endanger, and everything in between. So DEI, yeah, the company killing policy that has been running rampant for the last 4 years, well, 4 to 5 years. Philosophies. As many players have found themselves fed up with with any such political or social agendas coming anywhere near their video games. In light of the Polish studio's current stumbles, fans hoping to fill the resulting void have turned their attentions to the newly founded Rebel Wolves, as its roster features a number of notable CD Projekt Red veterans, bearing a name deeply connected to the Witcher lore and a bit of a personal speculation given a hint as to their possible disagreement with the former employer's current direction. Rebel Wolves was established in 2022 by former CD Projekt Red dev Conrad. I can't even say his last name. I'm sorry, I cannot say his last name correctly. Who perhaps most notably served as the director on both The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077, as well as head of production on the latter. Additional CD Projekt Red transplants include Presmy Sla Wojek, whose duties in the over 13 years with the studio, including leading Q&A for The Witcher 2 and The Witcher 3, as well as producing Cyberpunk 2077, and Jacob Daniel and Tomas Tink, all of whom previously worked on aforementioned series. At the time of this formation, the only information Rebel Wolves provided as to what players could look forward to from their first sale was a piece of concept art depicting a fanged man, spear in hand, and a flock of bats at his back, descending upon a group of unaware soldiers, one of whom appears to be demonic in nature. And bearing confirmation of the game's title, The Blood of Dawnwalker, that's all any player would hear of the game until January of this year, when in coinciding with the Wolf Moon, a name for the full moons that occur every January, Rebel Wolves unveiled its first trailer. And there it is right there. Oh boy. So it will be released. There will be a gameplay trailer reveal sometime in this summer. I gotta say, it looks pretty good. But what worries me is, like, are they like, have they really learned their lesson for for um for the have they learned their lesson given everything that's happened with Cyberpunk 2077 and all things considering? it's very telling of what I mean. I'm all for a new studio coming out and everything. I'm all for a new studio coming out and trying something different. I'm always for that, but lately with everything happening and the layouts are happening and all the splits and everything, it's hard to pin down what would be good for the gaming world and everything. Who knows what's going to happen this coming year? I mean, we're already we're already 15 days into the new year and already things have gone very, very crazy. However, with that said, um, it bears in mind of everything. Hey guys, I will be right back. So, in other news, I'm back. Aside from being back and everything, um, we got some more news. This pertains to what's happening. Fallout New Vegas director cautions devs to avoid making unnecessarily large titles. I don't think most players want games that are 6 times bigger than Skyrim or 8 times bigger than The Witcher 3. In offering his thoughts on the ongoing debate regarding the ever growing size of modern video games, Fallout New Vegas director Josh Scheuer has cautioned his fellow devs to chill out when it comes to the scope of their games, as most players are not interested in games that are big just for the sake of being big. Oh, Matthew Perry. Sad what happened. Sawyer, an industry veteran whose non-wasteland related credits includes stints as a designer on the original Icewind Dale duology, the lead designer of Neverwinter Nights 2, the director on both the Pillars of Eternity duology, as well as 2022's Pentiment, weighed in on the topic of video game size when answering fan questions via a January 12th video uploaded to his personal YouTube. I'll be fine. And here's Joker.
All right. Whew. Sorry. Sorry about the wait. I was having some Wi-Fi issues. I'm like, all right. So it's connected, not connected. Had to reset it a couple different times. But like, all right, maybe that'll work out. So hopefully, no more issues. So hopefully, no more issues on the phone or right now. So, whew. All right. So what are we talking about?
I can start over if you like. Good
Just
to
give me a
see.
brief start.
Good to see you, Eagle Rider. Good to see you.
We're all doing pretty good.
Fallout New Vegas director cautions devs to avoid making unnecessarily large titles. I don't think most players want games that are 6 times bigger than Skyrim or 8 times bigger than The Witcher 3.
You know what? I think I'm probably going to summarize this quickly. He's not exactly wrong. Because when you think about it this way, when games first started off, back in the arcade days, those were the golden era. We didn't know what we're going to get, see, or play. Everything was just a quarter at a time. So then that was really fun. Then you go to like the home console market, and it just opened up this brand spanking, like, you can do whatever you want here. Like, it was the Wild West, literally. There was no
Hmm? You all right, Joker? Oh,
it was kind of like the Wild West, like you do whatever you want.
mm-hmm.
For like several different generations later, you get yourself like, the competition, Sega versus Sega versus Nintendo, and we're figuring out like how do we get the arcade games over to the consoles. You even bring in the new dog, Sega versus of the PlayStation, Xbox, and like kind of like those games come. People literally could do whatever they want, but let's for like you had creativity, you had a unique experience. Like, hey there, plumber boy. Guess what? Like, 3D graphics and everything. So that was a big deal, going from a plain 2D perspective to full blown 3D. And literally, the guys for the OG Naughty Dogs, they said, was literally them going from, hold on, let me put the into perspective, going, huh? To let's just turn the camera around. And that's how you got the 3D space a little bit. Simple yet effective, but even they said, like, that's how we just changed the camera around, but then it added a whole new dimension. And Crash was also seeing the cool stuff, like him just reacting to stuff like, oh, there's a boulder behind me. Let's have him react like that. That was cool to see, and it still is. I remember when Jack and Daxter came out on the PS2, you could literally go from one point of the island to the other without a loading screen. It was hidden, but the fact they came up with technology at that time that only the director even knew about, it's like, hey, how do you get this thing to work? It was a technical marvel back in the day. Sure, the Borderlands owner Randy Pitchfork is saying that, oh, for Borderlands 4 you can go here to here without a loading screen, and some of us are like, we can do that back in the day with the original Jack and Daxter, even Jack 2 and 3. It's not that impressive. Sure, it is. You got the old modern hardware and everything, but it's like this old machine over here could still do it. Probably still could, but not the way it was implemented back in the day. You see, back in the day, boys and girls, we didn't have all these RAMs and powers and everything. So, in order for that awesome, seamless transition to happen, Jack had to be running at a slow speed so the systems could, upload the information correctly and give it enough time. But if you were far too quick, you could literally see Jack fall, trip on purpose so the system could catch up. Granted, on the hardware like PS3, PS4, PS5, or an emulation, it's much faster, so you can't see it. But back in the day on the PS2, you could see it, what the limitations were and what the workarounds were. So there's that. But you jump to like all this modern stuff, like the Ubisoft massive open world, or like a Bethesda RPG or Western, you name it. Were kind of getting sick of it's just a big map. It's huge. It will be impressive. And I would like to explore that big, massive open world map. Like, even a game like Horizon Forbidden West, I was still impressed with what I could see and do. I was like, wow, like, this is really cool. And since I went to Vegas before, I was like, oh, I know where this is at. It's on this lane or street. I'm like, at least the horizon take of it, and I was like, that was pretty cool to see. Actually, I was actually inside one of the buildings, and I was like, yep, they got this right. That's for sure. Or like being on the coast of San Francisco for a little bit, but you're like, wow, look at the water. Like I'm always impressed how water looks in a game, and every time I go to one, I'm like, all right, let's see the water. They got the water physics right. I'm like, they do. It still looks impressive. But that's the thing, though. I can be impressed about that stuff, or seeing little things in the detail, like maybe how the trees are blowing against the wind, or maybe seeing like the sand particles or snow particles, like leave a trail or whatnot. That's cool. That's awesome. But there's a risk to all that, and we know what it is. Just fill up the map with pointless fetch quests or the boring quest line or something that just like here's a point of interest, go up and then see an a la Ubisoft style of going bum, 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 bum. Even the Marvel Spider-Man games are very much guilty of that. Going the I thought we got rid of this, like so we didn't learn. We didn't learn. We're comprehension. That's what he's getting at. Sure, you could have the biggest map in the world and we're like 16 times the detail. You remember that from E3. It is 16 times the detail. It is 4 times larger than Fallout 4. We don't want that. It's impressive, but the gimmick has kind of faded away a bit. Like, what happened to unique quest lines instead of going, I have to drive all the way over here or walk, start a quest, and like, oh, I gotta go all the way back over here again. I'm like, that wasn't the point. Hell, even our favorite game, Mafia 2, is very guilty of doing that. Go here, go there. It was great, but for a story standpoint, it's fine. But if you want to do stuff, it's like, well, we're kind of limited here. Heck, even Grand Theft Auto, even Red Dead Redemption 2, I love those games. Love them to death. But at the same time, I always keep saying, I felt like I've seen everything. I felt like I've done everything possible. There's some stranger quest lines or some unique experience you can get, but when you get way too big, it feels like, there's a lot of filler here. I could be doing something that could be fun or interesting doing. Compared to stuff that was like more smaller sandboxes, like your cities from Assassin's Creed back in the golden era. Like I remember just fooling around in Florence all the time or going to Venice and just running upon the canals and being like, let me jump over one. That was much more fun and unique versus all right, it's cool. I got to see medieval Europe during the Dark Ages. That was pretty sweet and awesome. But I also kept thinking I could be parkouring right now in France, in Paris of all places. Like I could be doing stuff like that or just creating my own mayhem. But I don't want every single game out there to be like, we're the biggest open world. And I go, oh no, not again. It's not that impressive. To be fair, there are some games that do mix up the formula, like Elden Ring. What do? But you have an open world map. But the thing about that was there was no restrictions of what you could or could not do. You could follow the main quest line, which is what the glowy thing is. So, okay, you could follow it, but then if you do that, there's one big mistake. You get to the first boss, the real boss, and it's like, oh, dead in a couple hits. So, typically in a Dark Souls or from Soft game, you should be able to handle the first boss, even if you're at low level. This is probably the one time where they said, not this time around. Even if you had help from the NPCs, it was still like, So that's when I went to.
I need to get that clip and play it. I need to get that.
You didn't say the magic word. You didn't say the magic word. So that's when it went into more of you need to find stuff on your own. There were still enemies to go around. There were dungeons to go around. Smaller ones, you could find them. And even stuff, if you found some secret bosses to fight that were like these little teleports and everything, you could fight them early on. But some of them came with a risk. One of them, if you found right away, you could be literally be one shot, and then it's like, okay, this guy's meant to come back later. But then again, you could still say Elden Ring was still way too huge and way too big, and I could still say, you know what, you're right. But at the same time, I think that was kind of the beauty of it. Because it was so big and massive, you could do anything you want, literally. You could ignore the main quest line completely for a very, very long time. In fact, even skip areas if you knew exactly where to go to gain some really good levels. Even on my second playthrough, I'm like, you know what, I could do the castle right away. But then I said, no, I'm going to go off in this direction. I know exactly where to go, what weapon to get right away. And that was kind of fun, but you know what, to each their own. And I'm glad there is still this talk about Elden Ring being open world. And I think that was both the advantage and a strong talking point. Even something like Shadow of the Erd Tree. Again, there's a lot of cool stuff in there, but then you could say, but then that was a little bit too simplistic. And I could say, all right, it was more straightforward. There were some areas that tricked you to thinking that, oh, there's nothing here. And that's where you found the more secret areas that got you the bosses where you really needed to battle. And that's when I went, okay, good job. But it's a great talking point, honestly. I think FromSoft did a good job in their first attempt, but then how do you top that? How do you make it feel fresh and unique again? Again, Spider-Man's big take was web slinging. So going around New York web slinging was like, this is pretty cool. This is still great. But then after a while, I could kind of feel it fade away a bit, but that's the thing. You need to balance out the player agency with the story, I think. That's the big thing. Sure, I can do whatever I want, but I still say I gotta do that story. I gotta get back to the story. So how do you balance that out? That's the big question.
Mm-hmm. That's and we see it with I mean look at the Fallen Order series and everything and all the a little more modern Star Wars games, because back then on the PS1 we had the Phantom Menace and everything and Jedi Power Battles. Now, granted, it was condensed, but you had enough area to see like, oh, this is really nice. And then when you get to games like Battlefront, like the Battlefront series under EA at at the time, and then Fallen Order, and then
The
Jedi
respawn.
Survivor. You look at and also Dead Space as well. When you take a moment to look and see how massive everything is, it's like, okay, I like this. And Jedi Academy too. Jedi Academy, yes, that one was a great game as well. However, in platforming, the biggest crime of Wrath of Cortex was the enemy placement. I was streaming Wrath of Cortex not long ago, and I can easily tell you throughout some of those levels where I could put more enemies, because there is enough room in there to put at least like one, maybe two more in that direction you're going. Because you see me from like at various times, I walk right around like right around the bad guy as he's tossing like potions and everything, just standing there like being useless. You can add a bit more to it without crowding it. It doesn't hurt to add one more bad guy in there to give you that challenge. It's like, okay, I have I have three bad guys in front of me. They each have different attack patterns, and I need to figure out which one do I want to take out first. Do I want to take out the first guy after he's done and then make my move to the other two, or do I just want to take out all three? You could do that. However, with just two in very odd placements, you could just walk right in the middle, and that be the end of it. It's like, congratulations, you just made the enemy useless by doing that. But I understand the why. But in terms of this, he is not wrong. We don't get us wrong. We love the massive worlds of our games and everything. We love seeing like the atmosphere, the cities, the high life going on, everything
I
bustling.
think my
Well,
favorite example of this, of when they did it right, is Ghost of Tsushima. Yes, it's
oh,
Tsushima Island, but here's how they did it right. It is accurate to a point. Obviously, some stuff is more fictionalized. They're kind of romanticizing a bit, but how Tsushima handle its massive, beautiful open world. They didn't let you leave check markers everywhere because that was immersion breaker. So in order to combat that, they had the system of the wind, the guiding system. So if you were near something and just flicked up on the touchpad, you're like, okay, I'm near something. I'm near something that's at least unique. Maybe it's a storyline, it's a quest. And they even said you need to look up and kind of see where the fire is, because that was where you kind of needed to go for a little bit. So that was cool. But the thing is about that is that you could be exploring Tsushima Island and always find the typical Radiant quest line or find some of the more unique ones and be like, this is cool on how they build the storyline for Jin. But also, they said the big thing was for them, since Jin, I guess, when he was born, his mom saw a fox, and normally that's a bad omen, but she said, no, Jin, foxes are your animal. They're good luck. So every time I saw a fox, I'm like, ooh, ooh, where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Get back here. And I would find a hot spring or something that was unique. I'm like, this is so cool. And then you just do whatever you want and be like, this is pretty good. But I liked how Tsushima handled that freedom through like all three all the islands, because it felt like no one was holding my hand. There was none of Jen going, I can't go over here. I'm like, no, you literally can do whatever you want. You want to fight a boss that might be a little bit too hard for you, but you gained knowledge, you gained experience. Compare that to Horizon. Again, I love you, Horizon, but I don't want Aloy every single time to say, I should grab that turn over there. I'm like, let me figure that out myself. Let me figure that out. And every time I got die, she kept saying, I should grab the. It's like, no, 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 no. Let me figure it out. Don't hold my hand. Let the player figure it out naturally. And that is what I'm hoping Ghost of Yotai does even better. Continue to give us that freedom. Let us explore stuff. The devs can leave you little breadcrumbs throughout. Like, you can, but use a little breadcrumb. Not telling me like my other brother that's about to break down the door and he's somehow anime night. He's like, no, 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 let me show you where to go. I'm like, don't. Don't. I hate when that happens. And I agree with you too with Rise of Ronin. It was their first attempt at doing open world. Not a bad attempt, but I liked it for the most part. For the most part, I got through it fine. Save for like maybe the last half of the game, where they just kept introducing character after character. And at that point, I was like, I want to be done with this, please. I want
mhm.
to do some fun stuff, not introduce
What
another
about
historical figure.
what about the one game High on Life that I streamed a long time ago?
I
That
don't
one
know. I haven't played that.
that one I enjoy because you get to go to different worlds and everything. It's in first person, but at least with that you still get to see everything and still get to fight and all that. But the developer here though, back on
Let's
topic real
continue
quick,
reading.
the developer is not wrong. We're in agreement. He is not entirely wrong because we just want the game to be wonderful, to have fun, and give us like unlimited options to do do some of the fun stuff while simultaneously trying not to break the immersion.
Paradise
Oh.
Twice is not open world. It's more of a sandboxes. It's not fully open world. You still get the usual Dark Souls level structure, but it's not really open world. Like Ghost of Tsushima is more open world. I like to call Sekiro more like it's a sandbox because don't forget every area is kind of blocked off in some way because you're always in a different part of the area. It's not full blown open world, but it's more like a nice sandbox. Kind of like how the original like Demon Souls or like the first three Dark Souls were.
Yeah, in offering his thoughts on the ongoing debate regarding the ever-growing size of modern video games, Fallout New Vegas director Josh Sawyer has cautioned
Gosh.
his fellow devs to chill out when it comes to the scope of their games, as most players are not interested in games that are just big just for the sake of being big. Again, he's not wrong. He is not wrong. Like how you and I and many of us explained it. Um, actually, that could also be a factor too. We could take
That could
code. We
also
could
be a
take
factor. I think
well.
one of the
We could take
biggest
coding
Microsoft
into it.
example of
We could take a
it was
coding into
way
factor.
too big for its own good was not Origins. I think it was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That was really, really big. Look, I get it. It was we went to ancient Greece, fully understandable. We had to use our ship to get across to a lot of these different regions, and even for Greece, I just kept saying throughout a lot of that game of, "Wow, this map is like it's really like that was a beautiful game." Even my base PS4, I just kept saying like, "Wow, this looks really good." And like
When I
seeing
was
all the
playing,
like the monuments, the statues, like the ancient city, the life how they lived. I just kept going like, wow, this is like really cool. And even an area I'm like, okay, I'm either a little bit too under level or I just get at the right level. I just still kept saying that. It just kept going on and on. I was like, this is really cool, but then again, that was the big downside for me. I felt overwhelmed at how massive it was all the time. I'm like, this is great and all, but like I need to do something, and I found stuff to do, which was great. But that big, massive open world, how big it was. I'm not just talking about like how one little island is, or the main ones. It always felt like this is just too much for me. I would have been better if maybe it was half the size, or maybe they went back to the
Origins got
AC1
it.
style of cities.
Origins got it right because it was one giant area and everything. However, it was done to where you do see where ancient Egypt stops and then the Roman part begins and everything. I thought that was pretty cool to give you like that little subtle hint, like, hey, we're in ancient we're hitting the Roman Empire right now, and things are very different than what we were doing back in Egypt. So but I like it though because you get to see like how it changes. Like we went from praising Anubis to Ra to Horus
Mm-hmm.
to Nefertiti to Tutankhamun to
Heck, I
now.
even felt like finding all the
Oh, I
the
loved
stuff.
the yeah, those ones were a lot of fun
Those are really cool.
and to learn about it too, like to learn and everything from that perspective. I'm like, that is interesting. It's not dumbing you down or anything. You actually feel like you learned something. That being said, Origins does it right on its own because it's between the period of Cleopatra and of course Julius Caesar at the time.
Mhm.
And I feel like it did the best of both worlds. Like you see where it's conflicting and where the changes are happening at on a grander scale than than what you hear people say. Like you fully see it, and some of it's pretty good. Some of it you get the brutal reality of it. All these people who are put in these positions of power are treating everybody like trash, and it's like wait a damn minute. We didn't elect this person. But that's where I feel like and Odyssey, I understand. Like I will agree with Joker. I understand. We're in Greece. one of the most beautiful countries in the world,
Oh,
in the in the east, on the in the European countries. One of the most beautiful. And I get it. We get it. It's huge. It's massive. You want to see everything from the Temple of Athena all the way to the Roman Colosseum. We get it. Like we honestly do get it, but there is so much going on to where you're like, I want to kick the crap out of somebody. Like you just want to hop off your horse and punch the nearest merchant in the face.
like you want to get to some of the cooler set pieces to story beats, but even then, at the same time, with how like long these distance were in between some of the major cities to what they were setting up, it just felt like this is going on for a very, very long time. And then when it was all over, I was like, "It's over! Oh my god, it's over!" I
That's
just
how
felt a
that's how I
relief a little.
felt with that's how I felt with Assassin's Creed 3. I loved the back to the colonial days, back to when we were in the
Oh, was it the? Oh yeah, because they promised two stories. We got the Hatham portion of it, and then the Connor side. Like I'll say this, I like the Kenway family. It's a damn shame Connor never got a sequel or just being in that colonial time period. We never went back there again. Because in
Mhm.
Syndicate, Evie comments on that, oh, Connor came back to Europe and lived the rest of his life here. I'm like, what happened to him? Like there's a story in there that we could talk about.
Mhm. And also with Black Flag as well. That was a wonderful game set in a different still set in America at that time.
Well, we
Um
were in the Caribbean.
yeah, we were in the Caribbean and I enjoyed it actually. I'm like, why did this game get so much hate? As I'm playing through it, I'm like, why did this game get so much hate? Because it boggled my mind for a little bit. I need to get back into that one. That one was a lot of fun. I need to get back into that one. Um, uh, well,
We already
yes,
mentioned Hmm, technically speaking, the series kind of died out when the OG creator left or was removed. According to Noah North, he was supposed to get at least 6 games for Desmond. And that sixth game, he said you would use all the different ancestor abilities. You could kind of like time jump between different ancestors. And then it would end with them, the Abstergo would be defeated. He and Lucy would literally, and I mean this, literally take the apple eating, get in a spaceship, and then go to outer space. I'm like, huh? So it would have been a weird series with that sci-fi stuff, but then it's been all over the place with their science fiction settings. So this is why I'm hoping that I got no hope for Shadows, no hope.
no,
Even
I
with that
have
Marvel
none.
storyline, I just have given up because it's like we're never ever gonna get back to something like I just wanted Templars and Assassins to be fighting each other. Some of the new stuff was like, okay, this is interesting, but then that plot line had to be resolved in a comic book, so
Or see the Romans and Egyptians go at it. Like, just let them go at
oh,
it.
it
Just
was
let
supposed to
them
go
go.
at it.
But with that said, though, he goes on to say, as part of this Q&A, one user raised the fact that often we'll see stats that show many people buy games for only a smallest number to complete them. That is true to a degree. The completionist is one of them, and many people who just want to get all the trophies, get everything. Speedrunners as well. That's like they're like a good they're a good group margin in the whole conundrum that is the gaming community, there is a good group out there. They're in good numbers right now. So I say it's pretty much not almost not to equal footing, but it's there. They do have a presence there. So uh, and press the dev on whether or not this affected how you approach development. Do you have granular enough data that shows when and where in the game the player stopped? From a financial perspective, I would assume that since the company, already has the money, there's little impact there for a design perspective, though. The, does that affect your decisions? For example, in regards to shorter games, more accessibility features. So, moving to give his response, Sawyer began. So, ultimately, we want people to be happy that they bought the game and want them to be happy that they played the game. That is also, to a degree, he is right. Because I mean, I loved playing I love playing Jack and Dexter. I love playing Crash Bandicoot. I'm glad we got the chance to play those games growing up and everything, and we got a chance to play Assassin's Creed and all that. We're happy about that. We're happy as can be. So he is not entirely wrong. Um, and we're happy to, and we're also happy to have the stuff and everything because that's the gamer in us. We want to have like our own copy of it, so that way we can play it whenever we got that itch again to play it. Or satisfied. Then he then paused. Maybe happy is not the right word, but we want the player to play the game and whatever amount that they play, we want them to come away and say, I'm glad I bought the game. I enjoyed it. Great. Awesome. So, just having someone's money is not good enough. That's very short sighted because we have reputations to maintain. We want people to think well of us. To a standard, I mean, he Sawyer is correct in the matter because remember, some of these companies do have reputations to uphold. That's why we talk about like the OG Naughty Dog with reverence and everything. Nintendo back in its heyday, Sega with its stuff. We talk about them with reverence to their accomplishments and everything, and and we don't have like some of us don't have the highest expectations. We just want a game that is fun to play, has a great story, has great character development and build up, and amazing lore that we can really deep dive into and make fan theories and all the fun stuff and everything, all
All
of
the
that
fun
stuff.
stuff.
Desmond really isn't dead. He's just reincarnated as somebody else in Assassin's Creed.
Or he's what was his name in Valhalla? He's that guy again because you can hear Nolan North Desmond speaking at the end of the game, so it's like maybe he's over there now, or maybe he'll come back again, but we'll never know because that original idea sounded really cool. It could have been like this weird 6-game series and then that's it, but they kept on going, but that's what it is. Like even stuff that I keep saying that I want to continue, but don't. It's Yakuza. 8 games. Look, I'm halfway through Infinite Wealth, but if you want to talk about long games or not even that big, it could be as big. It does feel like I just lost momentum. I'm like, I'm pushing myself to finish it, but I still feel like we've done enough with Kiryu Kazuma. Let the man rest. I don't want him now, but I know how it ends, but I don't want him back. Why would you want him to come back? Why can't he just be happy? Let him go back to Sunnyside Orphanage, please. He should be with his children. Instead, it's I don't know. I don't know. Ooh, Ooh, interesting. Yeah, Like a Dragon is just as long, but I feel like that was more of a conclusive story that, hey, we got a new protagonist now, and we're going to move on from Kiryu. Good, good. But Infinite Wealth felt like, oh my god. But
I,
at the same
I
time, you just got to know when to hit the brakes. Let's just stop. Everything's been good for a while. Like, we had good stuff, but it's time to end it. In fact, it is weird because when you do look at the trophy list, you can actually see, okay, who's really completed the game and who hasn't. Because you get these crazy responses all the time. And it's like, but have you been in the game? Have you played it? Well, no, you just lost your argument right then and there. Show us your profile if we have to.
exactly that. Reiterating how he and fellow Obsidian Entertainment devs want people to think about our games in our studio and have a positive experience, Sawyer then turned to recall an incident in which he was talking to a usability group where we were talking about the size of our games and how we like to make them pretty big and pretty long, even if a lot of the stuff is optional. Well, that is a double-edged sword right there, because on the one hand, it's great to have content and everything, but there also comes a time where it feels so repetitive. Like, it gets to that point. Looking at Borderlands 2, the badass creator of Badassitude, that right there is one repetitive thing. It's like how many
Oh,
times how many times can you race around the racetrack and beat the clock and expect a different number of badass tokens and everything?
or
How many times?
or even how Torg mentions that. So you tell me that all these badasses are just waiting for you and they're not fighting each other. Ha 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 ha. That is a funny joke, actually, but it's like, I can only imagine if they did it better with if they were coming after you instead of being like, oh, I'll wait for you here. You just got to do all the extra stuff to get to me. And I'm like, no. Heck, I'm glad they did the whole, oh, you're going to fight that kid, and it's going to be, all right, the music playing. He's got the title card. And then, oh, well, that was quick. Because then the other guy comes back because he betrayed you earlier. I'm like, okay, this is good. But then the actual boss fight was just like, yeah, well, I mean, it was kind of a pushover, but then it was like, okay. And I couldn't tell you anything about the other like DLCs. They were fun to play, but three's DLC felt like, okay, the Casino Heist one, it was all right. The other one, I just didn't like a whole lot. But the one that stood out to me was their Wild West theme. Now that
Ooh,
felt
yeah.
like a proper Borderlands DLC. I was like, this is what I was waiting for. We got an interesting villain, a cool concept, the Japanese and Western mythology colliding again. Red Steel 2. Please, somebody revive that IP. Of like, this was awesome. This felt like a proper Borderlands game now. I was like, yeah. And it ends pretty awesome. I was like, damn, I couldn't wait to see what happened next.
Yeah,
But
it's
that's a
stuff like
fun DLC. It's not part of the main story, but that was a fun DLC. That was really fun.
but but also Sawyer's not entirely Sawyer. I do agree with him. How we like to make them pretty big and pretty long, even if all the stuff is optional. There are optional
But it
things
depends
too.
on what the optional are we're going to. Like Witcher Three's optional stuff, it can be tedious, but it's the good fun tedious. Like Gwent was really fun to play. And if you sucked at Gwent, you were still pouring in hours into it just to assemble the right deck to win a match. Or like collecting a few different things here or there to complete a quest, or again, even something like racing they made a lot of fun, and because you got to fight race against random NPCs, or even one of the Nilfgaardian guys, one of the generals, he felt like, oh, I remember you. We had a talk before, and then even just before you talk to the maid, you can challenge him to the race or not. And I always challenge him because it was pretty fun to challenge him, and he always was more a positive outlook in a time where everybody is in a world where it's damned to be damned. And here's this one general guy who has an obsession with horses. Like, do you like horses, Geralt? Do you like to race? And Geralt's response to that is, the only horse I've ever known is Roach, or every horse I own is named Roach. I'm like, but that is also a lore implication how much Geralt has always respect for his horses. So that's why he's never named one other than Roach. But then again,
Right.
some of that side quest stuff can be a little dragging on for too long because it's a good tedious, but then there's that point where you just go, I just want to be, just say no, no, thank you, no, I'll move on. But there can be fun stuff, like when you were in Novigrad and you had to put on the stage play. I always loved doing the stage play. That was always fun to do because you could pick Priscilla or the more professional actress to do it, and they'll say, okay, do you want this one actor or the other one? One might be drunk, the other one might not be drunk or even bother to show up. Like, that was a cool thing to do actually. Even at the party, you could still play Gwen against a couple people. So I always felt like, hey, that was pretty cool to do before you proceeded with the main quest. And I'm like, damn, that's so good. And The Witcher 3, like New Vegas and a few others before it, you can actually fail quests if you don't show up. Like if you fail or purposely ignore Triss of like, I need your help now because we're about to escape. They can all die in their escape, excluding Triss. She can show up to Kaer and have the biggest attitude of all time of like, yeah, Trish, what are you doing here? Oh, Jennifer called me, so I'm like, so I was like, damn, and that's even if you fail. I was like, okay, because she's not letting it go because you failed to show up. So it made you live with that consequences. Or again, original Dragon Age, how everything could tie into one another. Even a simple, if you can get the prayer for one of the places, but if your persuasion isn't high enough, you don't get a prayer for the soldiers. You think it's not going to affect that much, but that is actually supposed to be encouragement for the soldiers that they would have the blessing, that they would be protected. You can get everything else except for that and feel no change, but that little thing adds a whole lot of impact to stuff. It's optional, but that optional was also important as well. Heck, you could go throughout the entire game and not put a single point into persuasion. In the big moment you're supposed to get Logan to confess to his crime, you can try to persuade, but everybody will just ignore you because you failed to point a single point into persuasion. Hell, even when you're in the city, you are supposed to do all the optional stuff because a lot of them were supposed to help out you, the player, during the big confession. You don't do a single one, you'll see everybody just go, I stand with Logan, 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 and then you have to fight Logan in a battle. But if you do all of it, you'll hear everybody go, the Grey Warden, the Grey Warden. And it's like you just won without dropping a single ounce of bloodshed. That's impressive. That is impressive. That's doing optional content done right.
Oh, I agree. And that's how it should be. And one of the researchers said, well, we found that like 2/3 of people don't finish the games that they start. And then and they went on to sort of suggest therefore you should make games shorter. And I asked what I thought was just the obvious question. I said, how did that correlate to the enjoyment of the player? And they said, we never asked that. It's a, it, it's an
Uh,
argument.
well, it depends on what we define by short. Like again, the more Scottish folk horror visual novel you gave me, it's roughly around maybe 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes on your first playthrough. And you're saying, wait, it's that short? Like, it's short enough. It is a visual novel, but part of that charm comes into you have these beautiful, wonderful stop motion videos that are playing, so all clay animation. So this is really cool. You only have a very, very small Scottish town to explore, but some of your activities you do are trying to gain some information about like what's happening will advance the time period. Some of it won't because you have to partake in a certain activity that I can't quite say, but it does involve the witch hunt. And every night you go to sleep, you might gain a little bit of a clue on what's going on. But by the end of the game, you have to make a decision. Who is the witch? I won't say anything because I want you yourself, Anime Night, to experience that. And I do want you to play that for Halloween. I think you'll have a whole lot of fun on that on Halloween.
Of course.
But then again, some of the bigger stuff, let's say, oh, let's go with Hi-Fi Rush. I have no idea how long that game is, but we can look it up, and it's like,
Ooh.
yeah, that's supposed to be that fantastic rhythm-based action game, and it's supposed to go very quickly versus the other games. You could play a game like Eternal Nights and beat it within a couple settings because it goes by at a decent pace. Doesn't stop, keeps on going. It will stop for a little bit, but it's not too long. It is a single developer, benefit of the doubt, with some extra help. But I think for a very first time game, that's a pretty good experience. And they'll learn from it and make the next game a little bit better. But then you get to stuff like say like Fury. Oh god, the game that I played by them. Again, I respect that developers. They'll do their own thing, which is good. It was oh my god, what was their oh my hold on, what did I play? What was that? Oh wait, hold on.
Mhm.
There we go. What did I play? There we go. Minutes. That game. Oh, to be fair, it had a cool concept of wizards, being Shibuya. I like the idea of like two different factions of the guild and more of this police force of wizards. I'm like, this could work out, but then after a while, it just kept dragging on, especially with the dungeons and the story had to keep introducing new characters to keep my investment in. And I think around like even like 10 hours of it, even like 5.5, I was like, I'm ready to get this game to be over with. But then it kept going on and on until I said, oh my goodness, no, please don't keep going. Just nicely end. So But it does depend. Like it does depend on where this game's going. Like even the longer AAA games, if you're a fan, you might tolerate a bunch of stuff. But sometimes we say you never know. The older you get, the less time you have time to play a game. The younger you are, well, you might have a bit more free time than us, but sometimes I don't want to watch a lengthy cutscene. I want to play some games for a little bit longer before I go to bed and do it all over again. Like
Especially
in
when
New
they
Final
don't give you,
Fantasy 16,
especially when
those
they're,
cutscenes go on forever in that game.
it's like watching one giant movie and it's like, where's the X button?
Like you want to skip, but it's like, no, I'm gonna miss out an important detail if I do skip. And I think that's why you choose it so long for me. At least when I go back to the older ones, yeah, there was still some lengthy cutscene, but I think I was over that before. Like Infinite Wealth was like halfway through their story. I'm like, my goodness.
Mhm.
We'll get to some of the TikTok stuff later, but let's try to finish up this article here to see what he has to say. Because he's not wrong. There's a lot of points I agree with still. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, Sawyer, we're actually in agreement with Sawyer here. He's not wrong on some of the stuff that he said here, and it is very thought provoking though. He goes on to say, I think that's really important. I mean, one of the most notable games I think where this is really important is a game like Skyrim, a game where a lot of people never finish the crit path or critical path, and then in other words, the game's main path to completion. They just don't get very far in the crit path at all. They restart the game over and over and over, and they just wander and they never finish it. They never maybe even more see more than a third of the map and its locations, but they'll love it. Great time. If you're going by, well, they didn't finish the game, therefore they didn't like it. That's just not true. Some players really need to finish the game, but I would say most players, including myself, I'm not that concerned with finishing games. Maybe if I get very deep into them, I get like 80% of the way through them, then I really want to see it through. But if I get an enjoyable experience out of it, I don't need to finish it. That's not that important. But it's a wonder.
I am glad they're showing off different stuff like Cyberpunk. That's like when it kind of was first advertised a little bit. When the devs said it took them about 125 hours, but then that first report, oh boy. I remember that first report coming out by somebody complete said finish under 20 hours. So I'm like,
Hey,
20 hours of gameplay? You finished under 20 hours. So I'm
nice.
like, I kept saying, no way, there's no way. And he said, oh, it was just the main story. I'm like, yeah, but you're just doing the main story. But people said, no, if you just do the main story with Cyberpunk 2077, it was just under 20 hours. You do some of the side content, I'm like, yeah, you'll bump it up to maybe 30 or 40, but it's like, wow, it was that shorter than Witcher 3. I was like, wow.
Kind of like with um kind of like with Dying Light too. With Dying Light and everything, you're running around in the zombie infested city and trying to avoid. And when night falls, that's when it gets like, oh, we need to get out of here. And then some of the side missions are you get to kill them and everything, and it's like, yeah, I need better weapons to do that. But I'm guilty on some of that because it's like there are some games I haven't finished, and it's like, I forgot to.
You
Um,
forgot to finish it, or perhaps it was too buggy. I remember most of us did complete 2077 in that buggy state, but some people did have to wait a while to finish it, or even like some recent examples like Lords of the Fallen, the reboot game that came out. I'm like, maybe you guys could go back to finish it now because maybe it's in a better state now. Maybe it's better playable. And granted, to be fair, we always can't keep saying that it's unacceptable to release a game that's so buggy in that state. And I keep saying we need to stop with this whole No Man's Sky comeback because I have said, like, Cyberpunk be the last time we have to use that example, but it's like, so we didn't learn. We didn't learn. And you could say, well, but that was just side games pushing out the game early, but we'll never know what goes on behind the scenes. We'll never know.
Exactly. Further expounding on this point, he noted, I think that there is a perception of size, a perception of scope. It's that feeling of when you come out in most Bethesda games, or The Witcher 3 is another really good example. Actually, I would say Cyberpunk 2077 too. You get a sense of the true scope of this world and it kind of takes your breath away. And you're like, oh man, I can just imagine all the stuff that's out there. And you start pushing and testing against the boundaries, and it feels like it kind of goes on forever, but it doesn't need to go on forever. It just needs to kind of feel that it goes on forever for as long as you want to play the game. And I think that's an important psychological aspect.
Like I said with Witcher 3, you could be playing Gwent for hours and hours on end. There's even a tournament for Gwent. You can go on a tournament of Gwent in the main quest line and be like, wait, I don't have all the cards, but they will tell you where or who to fight, but they might be a bit harder to fight. Even the Baron, for the low cards you have, if you win against him, he's like, all right, you won, here's the card. But if you keep losing, he's like, you're not completely bad. To keep on trying. So they encourage you to figure out, okay, if they have the special cards, where are all the other cards you have to get? Here's the point. Taverns are a great place to look for cards.
However, despite his belief that a sense of a large world was key to a good player experience, it was at this point that Alpha Protocol designer conceded that this idea was not helped by the building of larger, repetitive, and largely lifeless content holes. I think that outside of console warriors, console warriors,
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris Avalon.
I don't think that anyone cares, he affirmed. We don't need to go bigger, just stop. I don't think that most players want games that are 6 times bigger than Skyrim or 8 times bigger than Witcher 3. Games got bigger and bigger, and it became more and more impressive. And then at a certain point, supporting that volume of stuff, there's a quality dip. Like, we're not employing 8 times the number of area designers and artists and to go along with such scopes, and so things start to feel less unique and bespoke. And don't get me wrong, we've all got to reuse assets. I'm always thinking about how can we reuse stuff because we want to make big games. He is not wrong. He's not wrong. There's
how much of that stuff kept on repeating of gaining all the recruits. I'm like, yeah. Very repetitive, very repetitiveness.
Well, there's that factor too. It's like how look at Black Ops 6. I mean, my goodness.
The problem with that is they're using an outdated game engine that keeps getting updated constantly, and the manpower and their tech guys or engineers just to always upgrade that engine all the time is probably insane amount of work to get an outdated game engine working like that. You can say, oh, but it's the brand new game. Like, again, look at Bethesda. They keep using Gamebryo. Well, it's creation is just Gamebryo. Creation engine is just that god-awful, horrible Gamebryo engine. That's all it is. And look how Starfield looked. Yeah, that stuff would have been impressive back in 2000. You know what I'm talking about? All those facial animations, the lip syncing, the how the models look. You can call it Budge Creation Engine 2, but that thing is really outdated. And it's not just that, it's their game design, it's philosophy, it's all the stuff that they're talking about that ties into. That's why people don't like games being 8 times, 16 times, whatever the size is with the last game, to be big and impressive. People are still impressed with Daggerfall to this day than what they were with Skyrim or Oblivion.
Mm-hmm.
People were impressed with Morrowind than they were with Starfield. I am more impressed with Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk than I might be with a few other games today. And that's not to say the new stuff is bad. Some of the stuff I mentioned is still brand new, but it's like it could be less impressive a few years from now or what they were doing back in the day. It's like our friend David said, like, some people are still trying to figure out, like, well, how do they get that to work? Like back in the day. Could be they had better people who understand the fundamentals a bit better, or it just could be that they had these wonderful wizards that were coming up with the stuff versus today where it's like, oh, but we can't do that. It'd be too long. Yet somehow they were able to do it back on all these older machines, and yet we were blown away versus all this new stuff, which is kind of really sad, honestly. We
I
keep
mean,
asking for
look
innovation, but
at
where's the innovating?
exactly, because look at
Portal. Let's look at Portal.
yeah,
Let's look at Portal. Still impressive to this day.
both of them actually, both Portal, Half Life,
Look,
Half Life.
yeah, look at what that original Jurassic 3D open world game was trying to do years before the very first Half Life, and yet Half Life is still pretty much damn impressive to this day on what they were doing. Even Half Life 2 is still mind blowing back in the day.
Even you can look at it and would still feel like it just came out today. That's how well it holds up to degrees of that. And also with reused assets, it's like, okay, we have all of this. Now how can we make this level a bit more crazy without going overboard? That was Naughty Dog right there. Because remember, Crash Bandicoot did have some assets already, but they tweaked the gameplay to make it better. Like, okay, hey kids, remember what that you could jump and spin and everything and collect Aku Aku and all the Wampa fruit? Well, guess what, kids? You Crash can now slide, do a slide jump, do a slide spin, and climb on things and ride a jet board and all of that and everything. You can do that without sacrificing practically little to nothing. And keep in mind, as you said, on those old machines, we got those. And even with Final Fantasy, I'm still blown away by the original PS1 of that title of that game, of Final Fantasy
Oh,
7.
7? Oh,
Uh
7.
huh.
Well, it's not just like what you see by 7, but even like we jump from 7 to 10. I miss levels that were like these, like even just Tidus walking in 10, and then you see like, oh, there's a waterfall in the distance, and then you can run up the map and be like, oh my god, I'm going to this beautiful like preset backgrounds with this beautiful waterfall with this beautiful music that's playing, or even seeing some of those Final Fantasy PS1 or PS2 levels of towns with their own details, and you're like, why can't we get this again? People can say that, oh, the
With
remake is doing that, Rebirth is doing that. Sure, yes, to a degree, but you kind of miss what things used to look like a little bit. Like,
or like with Final Fantasy 9 when we go to the Lindblom Castle. That
oh,
whole
that's iconic.
scene, that scene right there, it
That's
was
iconic.
it was monumental, and it's like it's mind blowing the tech that they had at that time could do all of that, and it's still impressive
They
to
got
this
some
day.
wizards over there. They had some wizards. Like, you know exactly what to do. Like, I think even for
It's
me,
it,
like,
it made
I
me want to
missed some
go
of the
there. Like I almost jumped through my TV. I'm like, I want to go there. I want to, and seeing everything, like how the city folk look, like how mercifully big it was, and it's like, wait a minute, there's a castle within the city, and then there's another floor level within that city. It just builds so much, and it's like Coruscant, Coruscant of Star Wars. It's like that. On the surface, we see the buildings and everything, but there are 5,000 plus levels in that world. That is mind blowing. It's like, wait a minute, there's this on top of this. Or like you have a big house and everything. You seen it all until you open that one door, and there's an entirely bigger closet behind that door. And it's like, or that episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, when Danny DeVito's character opens the door, and he's like,
Frank.
Frank, when Frank opens the door, it's like, you mean to tell me we had another bathroom in this house and we never noticed? It's kind of like that feeling. Like you see something new, and it's so exciting of the discovery. That's what I miss the most about the modern games. That's what I miss most, is discovering like something really cool or being blown away for the first time, and then come back to it years later, be like, oh man, this is still so impressive. Like when Sephiroth makes his first appearance,
Still
still
iconic.
still to this day, you can't help but just hear the music playing, and you're just standing there shitting your pants at this dude who
Da-da-da-da.
who
And
reeks
I and
who
I will still say this even as a musician. I like his no, not the One Winged Angel. Like, here's the thing: One Winged Angel is great, but it's also used far too often when he's not in the One Winged Angel form. He has his other one, which goes ba da da dun ba da da dun. That theme is much better, but I also hated how they used it in remake. I was like, oh my god, no! Like, how could you mess up such a simple OST track and completely change it? It was cool. I mean, sure, it sounds good, but it also was underplay a lot. And then the boss battle happens, and I was expecting for that to play, but no, they went full blown One Winged Angel, and I just kept saying, guys, this is too soon. You're playing. I know this is an iconic thingy, but you're playing it too soon. He's not in the One Winged Angel form. Like, what are you doing? And
right.
then there's that theme in Rebirth. Oh, Rebirth. They couldn't let. Look, I'm about to say this for Rebirth. They couldn't allow Aerith's main theme to just simply play for the final sequence. They just could not let that play. Instead, let's just add some guitars. Like, no, let her theme play against the Genova boss. Please, just let her play. You did that back in the original. It was just that slow melody playing. So perfect, so beautiful. And what does remake do? Oh. But people are saying, but it's called impact. I lost the impact. Original game, I had this beautiful sad impact music playing. Rebirth kept going on and on and on. I thought I would just get the Genova boss battle, but no. I gotta add in a Sephiroth boss battle too. I get it. Sephiroth is an iconic villain. I honestly do. Very much. I get it. But there was a point in the original. The original, you only fought him once or a couple times, and then it was over. Rebirth and Remake, I get they saved them for the end for both games respectively. Good calls, but now it's too soon. So that means the third part, you better have the best boss battle ever at this point. Otherwise, I'm just gonna say, then what was the point of the
Mm-hmm.
previous two attempts? You better go all out, especially with Meteor. That's
Exactly.
too important.
So to summarize, ladies and gentlemen, um, Mr. Sawyer is not entirely wrong on his statements and everything. He is correct in the manner of speaking to how gamers should be. We don't have to have like the the game be ridiculously huge and everything just to sell us on it. We're not that difficult to please. Just give us like a story that we could follow, characters that we could cheer, boo, hate, whatever. Comprehensive gameplay enough to like fully get the full understanding of it,
Whew.
and some lore to talk about later on and dive into in discussions for 10 to 40 years from now, like we are with Final Fantasy and everything. I believe they can do this. I believe they can. They've done it before, and it could be done again with all the new hardware and everything, and all the with all the motion capture and all this tech that you have now that could still tell the story without ruining the immersion of it. I think they can. It's just a matter of like, oh my, we have to make the game bigger. We have to make Grand Theft Auto 6 more massive than ever before. Grand Theft
Even
Auto
though we're
5,
going back
Gra-
to
Gra-
Miami, Vice City, which I'm happy we're going back to Vice City. And the trailer did show off that big, huge leap in tech, especially when you compare Vice City to GTA 6. It's like a night and day clear difference, which I am impressive for. And even for the leaks that did happen, I would like to say for when I did see the leaks, I was still saying, hey, this technology is kind of impressive right now. They're using a lot more of the memory, the hard drive to like have the NPCs actually have better interactions with the player. They're using a lot of cool stuff, which is this is pretty interesting. I am excited to see how much of a game changer they're on the technological side might be, but that downside and that fear is always this is living up to expectations. There's just so much hype around GTA 6 that if one thing isn't done correctly or if it's a broken mess, people will you'll never Rockstar will never hear the end of it. They won't because they've been working on one game every so often versus back in their golden age, they did a lot more than just one game. They did everything. They did everything.
mm-hmm.
But now it's that's why we don't have another Midnight Club, which I wish I would love to see another Midnight Club. Rockstar, you can literally give Need for Speed the competition right now.
Yeah, we need more racing games to really kick the pants in Need for Speed. As awesome as it is, but it's nice to have competition. Uh, what's up, Trump Tuber and Sunflower and everybody? Good to see everybody here. So you showed me. Let's get into the next topic here. You sent me a
Oh yes,
message.
yes,
You sent me a message on Twitter.
about this Strong Gaming, and that
Um,
was by this
and
wonderful Twitter user. Couple of them. There's a couple news. Blow it up. Let's because we need to see it's better because of
hey, let me see if I could. There we go. And I'll put us at the bottom right here.
all
So,
right. There we go.
so, So this is Rhino the Bouncer. This is from Rhino the Bouncer. I hope Sony gives those four franchises a 10 to 15-year break. Don't get me wrong, I love them, I enjoy them in their time, but I'm so burned out on the same characters, same setting, same gameplay formula, same story, same four IPs for the last two generations. I'm at that point where I really don't care about what happens with them or even if any of them has a trilogy to finish. Just move on to new IP. Let me explore new worlds with new characters and styles, and let me miss those characters so that when they come back, it would be exciting to see them again. It's just not sustainable anymore to tell every story in the trilogy format when each entry takes 3 to 7 years, and that means we're stuck for 2 to 3 generations with the same faces, no matter how good they are. Rhino is not wrong. Because look right here. We have God of War, we have The Last of Us, we have Horizon, and Spider-Man. What do all four of these have in common? Joker, go ahead.
All right, they're the same IPs that Sony likes to go back to often. Last of Us Part, well, The Last of Us really only has two games, the original and Part Two. Yet the original's been on PS3, PS4 with the Last of Us remaster. Then again on the PS5 called Last of Us Part One, and it's been released again on the PC. That is four separate times. Part two is the same thing. Get the PS4, the remake, the pointless remake, remaster on the PS5, and yet again on PC. That is three times again. Horizon. I like Horizon, and I will defend Horizon because I don't think it gets enough credit where it's due. But you already have two good games, really good games. But then the pointless remake of Part One comes out, and I go, no, no. Why couldn't that be put into a, oh, I don't know, Guerrilla Games called Killzone? Make me a new Killzone game, or port over 1 and 2, 3, please. God of War, Santa Monica. I love you guys, I really do, but we need to move on from Kratos. No, no, no more God of War. Give me that space game, epic opera you were building beforehand, or go back to another game. Insomniac, I love you, I really do, but it's gonna be a long time till we see another Ratchet Clank game. And to me, while the infamous leak from Insomniac is that it's great we're getting Spider-Man, but now my question is, after two, why are we going to Miles? Why are we going to Miles? I like Miles as much as the next guy, but it's like, really? We're replacing Peter Parker in two games. Two games for Miles. I mean, if you're going to do that, why not just kill off Peter Parker? Like, right? Am I wrong?
No, you are not. You are not wrong because it's like I want to know what happens with Ratchet and Clank. I want to, and also Sucker Punch.
Don't
Where
worry, I'll get to my boy Sucker Punch. But my problem with Insomniac and what Sony's doing, it's like, okay, we know what they're making, but they're just going to be known as the Marvel company now because three Spider-Man games, original, also Miles Morales and Spider-Man 2. But you got to remember, they're still making the Wolverine game. They're still making the Wolverine game over there, which is going to be longer still unless we get a showcase soon, knowing that Wolverine is about to come out. But think about that.
I predict probably in the Summer Game Fest,
Probably at best.
Summer Game Fest, or not State of Play. I mean, I can't even take State of Play seriously anymore. I wish I could, but
Well, then again, at the same time, I'm going to keep asking all of you guys, what are you expecting from State of Play these days? I mean, I got some cool games that are coming out. I'm like, damn, I'll keep my eye out. But
hey, Coop,
the big
what's up,
ones
buddy?
are going to take a while, and I will continue to say this. The lockdowns probably did push back a lot of games further than what they were meant to be originally. So, and I think we're still feeling that effect with people who keep saying that, oh, there's nothing there. Like, you got these games that are getting their spotlight. Weren't people pushing for, like, hey, what happened to the smaller titles, the mid titles? And I'm going like, here they are. Why don't you go play a few of them? We should be promoting stuff. Like, heck, that one visual novel I have on my computer right now, where I told you I got a response from the developer. I'm going like, okay. It was a positive response, but I'm going like, this visual novel that I'm playing, I got a response, and I was like,
Here we go. Here's a better. There we go. I
Sony
got
has
it.
no IPs, but here's the thing: I love Sucker Punch, and I'm actually am excited for Ghost of Yotai
Yeah,
because
Ghost.
although Shogun did very well, and if people
Oh,
like Shogun, they're gonna love Ghost of Yotai for sure. Doesn't the actress is one thing, but it's still the original director. It's still Nate. It's still Sucker Punch, and I trust them far more than Insomniac giving me a confident Spider-Man story. I trust Sucker Punch giving me a completed story with Ghost of Yotai. But Sucker Punch, I would love to see a new Infamous game or
yes.
Sly
Where's
Cooper.
that game? Where is that game at?
Where's
Infamous was
Infamous?
in. Infamous was
Where's Infamous
interesting.
4? Like, I want to know what happened to Delson and everybody else. What happened? Did we achieve the good ending? Did we achieve the bad ending? Hell, I Infamous was my first platinum trophy on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Second Son, because that's the game I kept playing constantly, and I got the platinum, and I was really happy. Also, at the end, if you do get the platinum, Troy Baker just talks to you. He's like, "Well, little buddy, we spent a lot of time together. Thank you so much." I was like, "Yay!" He broke the fourth wall. But what happened to my boy Sly Cooper? Where's the Where's the HD collection? A proper HD collection on the PS4, PS5. But the beauty of that also is it's coming back. All the games finally available on the PS4 and PS5 finally through emulation. But I'm like, yes, this is a starting point. Now give me a physical collection. What happened to Jack and Daxter? You know what I mean? Fatal. What happened to Gravity Rush? What happened to
Yeah.
Gravity Rush? The studio who made Splinterheads, that director, he said that, like, I would want Sony to at least give us a chance for Gravity Rush 3. So I'm like, so he has hope. He's hoping to do Gravity Rush 3. We should do that. But even one of the bigger news is that Sony is thinking about going back to their older IPs, which is Killzone, Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, Ape Escape, Medieval. Medieval is coming to PS5 as well. So, like, yes, yes,
Oh,
we got
I would love a new Ape Escape. I would love a new Escape.
what else is there from Astrobot that I'm trying to think about? Siren projects. Let's get another Siren game going. Let's go. Come on. Like all these wonderful titles from back in the heyday of Sony. We would love for them to come back. Instead of saying always the big thing. Gorilla, even if you don't want to work on another Killzone game, you ship it to somebody. And I always keep saying this. What happened to Blue Point Games? You remember Blue Point Games, right?
Yeah.
Porting all those great games over, especially their wonderful remakes. And I'm looking over here, I'm like, where is their new IP? They said they were working on it. I'm like, I'm hoping they didn't restart countless times or something happened to that IP. Because I
Well,
think the last update was a Christmas tree showing a couple of different IPs they reported over to the PS4 and the PS5. And then you see a Christmas gifts. So you're like, some people are thinking it might be Legend Dragoon, which, if it is, that would be amazing to see. That's another title that needs to come back as well. Legend Dragoon.
well. Think back to when we were streaming the Game Awards last month.
Mm-hmm.
What
Because it
was
was
on
cool
the
when that came back. I was like, I was shocked. I was like,
Yeah,
yes.
and then Ukami like came back on the grand stage. I'm like, yes, we're getting it. We're getting Ukami. We're getting it. And then all the other games that are coming out, like the first Berserker Kazan. I'm interested. This has my attention. My wallet is ready. I'm ready to see the gameplay trailer. My wallet is ready. There are IPs ready to go, but the other thing is, with all of these, though, how many fucking times can we tell the
Truly do
story of
this.
Kratos? How many times can
People
we?
say like, well, we can go to the Egypt. If you want an Egyptian mythology, make the Egyptian God of War, which no one will be mad about, but do not let it have Kratos at all. I am tired of this guy. He's great with two fantastic voice actors, but we need
Yes,
to move away from Kratos. Like, go away, go away, go. You're done. You're done. You're done. Go away. I am
I,
tired of seeing Last of Us by Naughty Dog everywhere. Neil Druckmann can say that I get where he's coming from, but at the same time, you gotta tell Sony you need to let us port other games over, please. Or why even make the pointless Part 2 remaster? It's not even that impressive on the PS5. I'm like,
and, and how many times are we gonna port Grand Theft Auto 5? How many fucking
5,
times?
Skyrim,
How many fucking times? Like there's the there was the PS3 version,
7th gen, 8th gen, 9th gen, the PC version.
the remastered enhanced edition.
Mhm.
Like Jesus Christ. I almost had a mental breakdown on that news. I almost had a mental breakdown because I'm like, Rockstar, how many fucking times are we gonna do this? And no wonder the Red Dead Redemption community is what they are right now. The mood over there.
Well, the mood
Uh,
over there is that they don't really update online a whole lot. People are just moving away. Part of that, the
however,
servers are expensive.
look, you and I can talk about. Okay, I'm gonna get into Spider-Man here real quick. We could talk about Spider-Man all day, every day, and reflect on the characters and everything. However, I would like to see a brand new character come in. Where is Ghost Rider? Where is Spawn? Punisher? Where is the Fantastic Four? You could still
Where's
do,
anybody really? From the
yeah.
A-list stars to B-list stars. I mean, like, whereas, like, I mean, we have the Avengers game, but Square Enix screwed them over at Crystal Dynamics.
And I
And
know
what
what people are gonna
is
say. I know what people are gonna say. Oh, but we have the Suicide Squad kill the Justice League. No, I am not
no,
touching
no,
that.
no.
I
I
am not
bought
touching.
that game.
I
I
am
bought
not.
that game weeks after the launch, but it was not very fun. It was not very fun to play. Hyper repetitive. I'm glad I picked Captain Boomerang, but even playing as the other characters that had weak weapons or barely even upgraded, it was repetitive to the repetitiveness. Oh, but they weren't the real Justice League, they're clones. That just makes the Wonder Woman scene even sadder. So she died to a bunch of clones. She couldn't defeat clone Superman. Clone
Really,
Superman.
really.
That somehow we needed gold and kryptonite to beat him. And yet she dies. Barry Allen, not Wally, Barry Allen gets disrespected by Captain Boomerang.
Yeah,
And
middle
my
finger.
boy, what they did to Batman, what they did to Kevin Conroy, what they did to him, you can tell me these guys can tell me that they're friends with him. I don't believe them. Maybe some of them were, But the way how clone Batman, the final lines, we heard Kevin Conroy in a video game, in a video game, a video game.
And
I'm happy.
the disrespect to Mr. Freeze. Because remember, I was playing Arkham Origins, Cold Heart, and I went on a tear when they introduced Mr. Freeze in that one, the DLC. He was menacing. He had power. He had presence. I'm like, this is Mr. Freeze. This is the Freeze I remember. Not that bullshit, whatever the fuck that is.
You
You
know
know
that they
what's
could have done
you know
Frost
what's so
instead.
you know what's so sad? You know what's so sad, Joker? That Freeze character in Suicide Kill the Justice League makes the Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze look a million times better
I
by
mean, it already
far.
was. But
It just made it even more glorious, and I owe an apology to Arnold for that one. I
but
owe a serious
it's the
apology to
disrespect they have
Arnold.
for these characters. Joker was
Uh,
disrespected. Freeze was disrespected. Oh, we got another Deadshot, but that's the somehow the canon Deadshot. Even though the whatever they did with Deadshot, I was like, huh? I was like, what's going on here? And the only good character was Deathstroke, but then too little, too late. And then you tell me, so the Batman they killed off, all the members we killed off,
Hey,
they were
Kelly.
just clones? Clones. You know how disrespectful that is? To
Uh-huh.
pull the rug, like, haha, you didn't really kill. But Harley gave that big speech and shot Batman. We all thought that was Batman. I thought, there's no way, there's no way. Captain Boomerang may be an idiot, but he's not that much of an idiot. And yet he, over his nemesis. But I keep saying this. I'm glad. That was not Kevin Conroy's final performance at all.
Yeah.
Thank God he went out on a high note with Mark Hamill.
Mm,
And I
yeah.
was like, I'm so glad that was. I was so happy that was his final performance, with sharing the screen with his longtime friend Mark Hamill. Thank you, because if Kill the Justice League was the final, I would have said, you disrespected my hero, the generation that grew up with his version of Batman. To the writers, screw you. But no, you're not his friend. You over his legacy. That's your legacy.
And with that said, though, I mean, with Spider-Man, I mean, we could talk, like I mentioned, we could talk about the Spider-Man games all day, every day.
There's a lot of good games out there for Spider-Man, but
Yeah,
I want to see different heroes
yeah,
and
and
villains.
we did have that on the PS2. We did have that in the PS1 as well, and the PS2. We did have that, and I'm like, why can't we have more? Like, give us a little more to work with here.
Again, Soundmax working Wolverine, but give Capcom Ghost Rider. I think they'll make a very good Ghost Rider game. Honestly, I think they would give somebody else. A, I'm glad Skydance, their company with Amy Hennig, they are working on a Captain America game that has Captain America, Black Panther, and a couple other characters. I'm like, this is what we wanted. This is what we wanted to see, and it looks really good. And it's Amy Hennig, and I trust Amy Hennig, a great director, a great writer. I'm like, this is what we need right now. This looks like really cool. I mean, it's Captain America in World War II with the precursor to T'Challa. We're with a Black Panther. That will sell money. That will sell money. I can guarantee it. God of
It would
War, I don't need another God of War game. No more, please. No more. again, I'm the biggest, probably be the biggest defender of Horizon. I still think they got one last good game left in them before they say, all right, we need to do a different IP or do something different with the storyline. They need just one more good game, please, and I think they can do it. But bringing
I
back
will say
Killzone,
this.
please.
I will say this. Naughty Dog had a home run
First one.
uh with the first one. I will say that. And I respectfully say that the first one, my personal favorite. I loved it. With the Uncharted series, they hit massive. It was home run after home run after home run after home run. Uncharted, Uncharted 4, Thieves End, a Thief's End. That was the perfect send off to Nathan Drake. He survived. His brother's with him. He knocked up the wife. Finally, he found his manhood and knocked up the mom and knocked up his wife, and out popped their daughter and everything. He has a family, and they're still exploring. That's completely fine. I am fine with that happy ending. No need to add more to it. Now, I don't mind an Uncharted game set in the same universe, but for Christ's sake, let Kratos, let Nathan Drake, let a lot of other of these legends have their peace and everything, and let the people after them come in and go wreak havoc at the doorsteps of everybody else. So yes, I say a hiatus is definitely needed because how often than not are we going to see more of the same? With it being business as usual. Because remember, there's a lot of people like Rhino here. He is burnt out on it. He's burnt out. Even if they somehow came out with the hobgoblin and everything, I would say, yeah, this is too late. Give it more. Come back in 5 years, and then maybe it'll be a lot better. I think they can though. That there's nothing wrong with checking out new IP and everything. I mean, look at Jedi Power Battles. That is coming back. Look at the remaster of Bounty Hunter. We got that back. All of that would have been lost media. Everybody knows it. I know it. You know it. That would have been lost media right there. All those rights and everything. It's a miracle that even Bubsy is getting his own collection with Bubsy 3D. The trash pile of so much fuckery in that is coming back. And I mean that in the good way. And it's like the reason why the reason why Sonic and Mario haven't fizzled out or become stale is because they're trying something different every day with with those two characters. That's why it's not stale. That's why it's not this, that, and the other. And remember when Super Mario Odyssey came out, that blew me away. Nintendo's not afraid to try. Nintendo's not afraid to try with something. Or take a Legend of Zelda, make Zelda the main character of her own game. That is completely fine. I can live with that. It looked really good. I am fine with that. Same with Princess Peach. I'm okay with that. Also, Metroid Prime 4. How long, Joker? How long have we been waiting for a follow up to Metroid Prime 3?
2018, 2019.
Yeah.
But it's this year. But it's this year.
Yes. I almost flipped. I almost flipped my chair over seeing that trailer for Metroid Prime 4. I'm like, yes, we are getting an epic conclusion to this series. Finally, a lot of answers are going to be solved. Finally. And a character that we know so little of is getting the spotlight. That's what we want. It's okay to do that. With Sly Cooper, I the next
Please,
game, the next
when you
game,
know
I
what
want to
happened
know.
after Egypt,
Yes, I we want to know, is he alive? Is he dead? What is going on? Where
and
is
apparently, according to Zanzibar, some of their former employees, they have said the Egypt level was planned to be the first level, but they switched it around, and but if it wasn't a commercial failure, that DLC would have been made, and we were like, now we got our answer, but we just don't know.
but yes, so it's but don't get us wrong here, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get us wrong here. We like the Spider-Man, the God of War, the Horizon, and the first Last of Us. I don't recognize the second one. I don't recognize it. That being said, we like these franchises, but we want some new games within the realm of that world. We don't have to predominantly play as Kratos constantly. We we could play as his son, for Christ's sake, and go
Well,
from
technically
there.
speaking, Artorias is Loki, and he becomes, well, in mythology, he's not around actually.
Ah, damn it. So in essence, there's really nothing going forward with
Oh, sweet, sweet! I just did something sweet.
what?
I got Kaylee Mill's autograph in order,
Yay!
so when I
So
get it, I'll show you guys.
so ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, I'm excited for what we have on the table right now. I'm excited for the new IPs that got their chance to shine.
Yep, yep. At mine, there's probably like a mine. Is there a mine? I think there might be. So yeah, God of War doesn't have to always have Kratos. I always said if there's some franchise to milk, you could milk it. You can give us other God of Wars. So that would be great as well to see from Santa Monica. Yes, they would be known as the God of War company, but at least we're moving around a bit.
Exactly. And also Wolfenstein.
Uh, sadly, well, Machine Games did have a home run with I'll give them credit with their Indiana Jones games. I think not too many people are picking it up. Sadly, so again, despite that, people have said that is a good game to be playing. So so we'll see
Oh,
if they stick
oh,
around a bit longer. But with how they ended Wolfenstein with New Colossus, I just did not appreciate that. I liked the actress who played the main villain lead, which I felt like she was very good, but it's how it got from point A to point B to point C, which I really wasn't that happy for, even with the gameplay loop or how the game is about to finally pick up. It it ended abruptly. I'm like that's it. That's the game.
oh, this is Silent Joker Sunflower. He's a
Yeah,
good
what's
friend
up?
of mine. Um, but I feel like I feel
You
like
know me, son. You know me, Sunflower.
or hey, T Gap Steve, glad to see you, buddy. Um, However, with New Colossus and everything, I love those games very much. And
What
we
about
got
New Blood?
that.
Did you play New Blood at all?
New Blood was really good for what it was, and it still holds its own. It holds its own in everything. With that said, I feel like New Colossus was the perfect end to that whole thing.
Really?
Blaskolit
I hated
Blaskowitz
New Colossus.
Well, the ending of it, because he finally settled down with Anya and had the
Well, we
babies.
didn't fight the Nazis. I felt like we were going to stop the revolution. It's like, yeah, we're going to take back America.
Well, yeah,
And
with
it
that and
was.
everything.
The
And
best moment was them in the diner. It's like, this is finally, like, the
he's holding.
gang members, the party and everything. The diner scene was great. I was like, this is great. This is going to be amazing. And then they take that all away from me.
There are certain aspects of New Colossus I did like. There are certain aspects of it I did like, but I will agree with you on that one. Also, it was pretty funny seeing the white sheets talking to the officers and everything. I thought that was pretty hilarious. That dialogue was so funny. I remember I sat there and was like listening, and I was crying in tears, and I forgot to move the story forward. So Blazkowicz is just standing there holding a bomb in that fire in that fire extinguisher, like an idiot, listening to these two people banter.
Hmm.
Appreciated. Appreciated. Um
But going back to all this stuff, like it does make sense. Like again, kind of like with Ubisoft, if you're tired of Assassin's Creed or Far Cry, they could be making a bunch of new IPs, but they're just deciding either not to, or even with there was like Starlink was, which some people have has played. They said that was pretty fun to play, but some people said it also came out just a bit too late when all the plug and play games were slowly fading out, sadly, and I think that's a bummer.
the
And
plug and
Miyamoto
play
said
was
he
a
really
lot of
liked it.
fun.
Or like again, the Mario and Rabbids game, which I think both of them have no right to be as good as they are, but
Oh,
that
and
darn
Rayman
second one,
and Rayman and Rabbids.
Rayman
Rayman
and Rabbids, great game as well. Rayman
where
Legends, great game.
or
Child of Light, I keep saying that is my favorite game by Ubisoft, which will never, ever, ever get a great spiritual successor to. And that did win them a Game of the Year award, which I felt like was totally deserved and earned. And I keep saying that game is probably one of their best soundtracks ever created by a person. I'm like, wow, that soundtrack is amazing for Child of Light. That is an amazing soundtrack. You cannot deny that.
oh, I agree. And it doesn't hurt to like do different things. I'm all for a new Rayman game. I know it's still the same IP, but that man is getting constantly disrespected left and right here. Or what was that one?
Oh wait, I know what you're gonna
Gex.
say.
Gex.
Gex,
We're getting a remaster. I remember reading something. We're
which
getting
is
a remaster.
surprising, but seeing him in Astrobot, I'm like, okay, it makes sense why he's here, and that's pretty cool, honestly.
Astrobot is
What
really
Sony needed, and that's why I'm hoping they go back to the platformers. Give me back all these wonderful platformers you got to go back to your older IPs, and why I'm hoping out for again for Capcom, please Dino Crisis remake. We
yes.
desperately need that.
We need a good revival of
No
that
more
series.
Resident Evil remakes, please. If you're
Take a
not going to give
break.
me Code Veronica, do Dino Crisis. If you're not going to make Resident Evil 5 because Jacksepticeye said, well, even like Jack, you killed Spanish people in 4. You killed my people. Hypocrite.
Yeah, that and it's like that's the only game right now that needs to be remastered.
It,
Actually, there are two.
it's Dino
I will
Crisis, and what was the other one?
um
Oh
Let's see.
god, there's one more. I know that everyone keeps saying they need to remake this. What was it?
I know Dino Crisis is one of them. There was one more that I really wanted to see before while we're still alive, mind you. Um
Lost Planet?
Lost Planet's pretty good. I can see that. Uh Max Payne.
Well, that is being made by Remedy, so with Rockstar, so that's a good one. Well, I'm trying to think. What was it a Capcom game or a different game? Because I know a lot of people are saying that they need to remake so many different games out there that like Max Payne is a big obvious one. We'll get that with Remedy sometime in the future. Down Crisis is always a classic. We just need that to come back completely.
Oh,
I'm trying to
oh
think.
wait, it was we could do oh wait, they don't have the nerve to do this one. They wouldn't have the nerve to do Scarface. They would not have the
Scarface would
nerve.
be cool, but probably getting the license, of course, to Al Pacino and a few others. There's that's
What
too
about
hard to do.
what about Mercenaries?
Mercenaries would be a cool one to see, especially how unique it was for the time until Activision got their greedy hands on it. And obviously, of course, I think another big one that people would say, "Oh my God," they would pay really good money for. What was it? Darkstalkers, a perfect game for Darkstalkers. Not just a new game, but even with that Capcom Fighting Collection, a remake of the original game would probably do well, honestly.
Oh, I agree. Uh what there was another one I just saw. Attack in the Power of Juju.
You know what? Well, gotta ask Purple Lamp for that one because they did well with SpongeBob Rehydrated. So I would love to go back to Tag and Power Juju, especially
Primal.
when a version that's
Primal.
not going to
Where
crash on me.
where is
That,
that? Primal.
hell, Primal?
Yeah.
Ooh, I know. Isn't Turok coming back? I've heard Turok was coming back.
I know Turok is coming back, but we could do Primal as well.
Primal needs to come back. A new Rampage game that isn't based off the movie would be great.
I could see Blade coming back. I could see Blade like a nice.
We are getting a Blade game, but it's currently with Arcane, and it's just taking them a while to get it going. So, especially with,
Just like the Blade movie.
look, here's the thing. Let's go off topic for the movie for a bit. If it's them taking them this long to get a Blade movie out, missing the release date completely, multiple different directors attached to it, then leaving, different writers writing the screenplay that either one is just being picked or selected to, we'll just make a new one. To my boy, Mahershala Ali, giving a choice to be like, hey, here's a list of directors and writers. You have failed. You have failed. Why? This is a Blade movie. All we want is an action film with vampires. But no, no Lilith, no daughter, just Blade fighting vampires. How hard is that to do? It's an action film with vampires. There's this little thing called the Underworld movies that we had a bunch of those out,
Oh yeah, that's right.
and there was the Wesley Snipe movies, three of them. They got three films out the door. Marvel is struggling with one movie that isn't hard to do. I also got to say this. Remember, Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler, they have a vampire movie that's out this year. So, guys, it's not that hard to do. Yet you're screwing up all the time.
Oh, I agree. It's ridiculous that we really have to go out there and be like, "Hey, we need this, and this. Like, what's going on here?" But the fact that it's taking them this long, it really shows like what they are not doing. Because I would love to see a new Underworld game come out with Celine, Victor, Marcus, Craven, um, Pierce, Taylor, Michael, Mark, who is the William the Werewolf, Alexander Corvinus. I would love to see
I think my
a
sister will love that because I know she liked the Underworld movies and she was watching a whole bunch of them back in my day. But I have yet to see a single Underworld movie. I know I'm like it's always on the to-do list and the bucket list, but I wouldn't mind playing an Underworld game that's based around those characters and the lore of Underworld if they can get the movie rights and actually make a good game out of it because I think there is potential there for that franchise to be revitalized and get a bunch of new people to be attracted to it and be like say, hey, we got all these fans now. Why don't we make a new movie? There was called Blood Wars, but some people said that was very iffy for a movie.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that. Oh, pull up, pull up, pull up,
Hey, let
pull up,
me let me find it real quick. Let me
because
see if
we
I
should
can.
talk about this because this looks so good.
I know I talked about it in the beginning, but I don't mind repulling. Uh, oh crap! Hold on.
That looks
Wait.
so good. I was like, hot damn, that looks good.
Okay. I will end that there, and then pull this one back up just to bring you up to speed.
That looks
So
so good.
this does look good. I mean, this is legit terrifying. This
Like
is.
that's terrifying. I know it's a cinematic, but definitely in the game, he's gonna look way better. And the CG stuff aside, what I like about it is what they kind of followed up with description. So we're kind of like the main character on the left, so that guy on the left hand side, and we're kind of a dawn walker. We're not human. We're not vampire. We're somewhere in the between of that stuff. So okay, so your usual day walker kind of that stuff. Anyway, besides the point, I guess humanity is kind of in their term of what they say the vampires they've waited long enough to attack and strike, but the gameplay features is what I'm really excited about. We have 30 days to do what we need to do to save our family. Wait, you're saying 30 in-game days. So you can do stuff within those 30 days and complete it, but the major stuff will affect the timeline. It'll affect the time. So when you do the important stuff, it's like, okay, time is moving. It's moving forward. You can't stop the clock. You have to keep on going. And you do have like my favorite Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, you do have a blood meter. So you're gonna have to manage that resource blood completely. And they said you can go a long time without drinking blood, but should you do that, you run the risk of chopping someone's head off. I'm like, ooh. So that literally does mean this. You could be talking to somebody who might be giving you a quest. All of a sudden, for you to realize I have not fed in a while, and they could die permanently. That's right, permadeath. So, ooh, take a big risk, take a big gamble. And there are some systems in here that's in place. So, and don't forget, you have 30 days, 30 in-game days to get this done. And they have said no two playthroughs should be the exactly the day.
Oh yeah, yes, and I like the fact that we got a brand new studio. Amid everything that you and I have covered this past year alone, it's nice to see a new studio do something different. Because remember, CD Projekt Rec, their um their reputation as of right now is
It's both good but also concerning because they won the face back with
it's like that one
27-7.
bridge that's like teetering so badly you just wonder when it's gonna fall. It's
We'll
not a
see where
matter of
Witcher
if.
4 does. I have some faith left in them. We have to wait and see. The CG trailer is fine. I like Siri's new look. It looks pretty damn good. Obviously, she got older. That's fine. Don't know why the OG voice actress isn't back, but as we know, the industry goes, they don't have to hire you back. She could not have known that they were making The Witcher 4 right away or whenever they were in development. Or she could have been like us, or she could have said, I didn't want to come back, which is completely fine, but we'll never know until she does come out. But this right here looks so good. Like the systems, the mechanics that they're talking about, like the fact that
Oh,
they
there's
waited this
this
long. Yeah,
like this right here.
you're in Polish territory, so this is looks really cool.
Imagine walking out your imagine waking up and walking out the door and this is the first thing you see. I'd be
That
like
would be terrifying.
I would be like, what
You
the
are
hell happened?
working with the vampires, so make that clear. You're working with the vampires because they saved your daughter. So this is interesting. And even the gameplay stuff that we did see, I see this wonderful like parkour, like you're coming down from the tower, sliding down. That is so cool. I'm like, oh my god, this looks awesome. Yep, he's coming down like that. That looks so cool.
That is really well done right there.
Even for
I
concept art, that looks so cool.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, that guy. So somewhere in between. So these systems, I like. If it's gonna be like an actual RNG with some good role playing elements, like this looks. This has the potential to be really, really good. And they did want to improve upon stuff from Witcher 3 and 2077. So I think they're in the right direction. They're playing to their strengths of each game. So this will be fascinating, very fascinating.
Because you have our attention and everything, and it's like, oh, I
Bold,
like this.
new, unique, and it's like
And that's
Polish vampires. Their take on vampires, and we're
and,
sticking out from the usual European vampires where we have always seen all the time with like the American vampires. So uniqueness, we're standing out here.
and that's what you and I ask of these people. Do something that makes it stand out, like that grabs our attention. Like, check out our new game what we got coming out. This right here has my attention. This right here has my attention because I want to know what their intentions are in everything. Why are we being executed? What do they want with Cohen and everything? What do they want with us? That's what I want to know.
And they said they waited a long time for this day to happen. So I'm like, they've been planning things out for a while. And especially how they said that the older their vampire is, the more teeth they have, the more they'll see. So that guy's old. He's definitely an anti-villain. They even stated this guy, yeah, the main guy right here that they're pointing at too. He's more of an anti-villain, so does villainous things that he believes are good, but he's definitely. They didn't say he's like the villain. He's like an anti-villain. So I'm like, hmm. So they're going for something that's in what we call the moral gray area, not black, not white, something in between. So this will definitely challenge how we see things completely. And I
Mm-hmm.
like it. We're getting it from their point of view, not the human side of point of view, because I always want to see what their side is.
Yeah.
And
And
Turkish, we got Turkish as well, so that'll be interesting.
I can't wait to learn about this guy right here too, like his story and everything, and how
And it's
he
also
came.
going to be tricky how we balance all these wonderful characters because 30 in-game days, the game progresses whether you like it or not. Not like say like oh The Witcher 3 where you could do whatever you want and Syria will be okay until you get to there. They're really being strict on here, so good. That means they got to have a great writer on their hand writing the story because oh my god, I can only imagine what plot lines are we gonna miss? What characters could live or die? Heck, will there be side content that will be missing completely if I stick to one side or not? Hell, will we even die at the end of the game? I think that's a possibility.
Yeah, that's that is good possibility. Like what happens on day 30? Do we get our guts stomped out and our head ripped off if we
Do
don't
we
complete the
do we save humanity? Do we do the vampires bidding to the point and they say that we were too loyal and that we still die? This will be interesting. This will be interesting.
I'm sorry, but this made me laugh. I'm sorry, but that made
That,
me
that,
laugh.
that's true. But we're in that region, so that's a good thing.
It's a
And
good thing,
we'll find
yes.
out more at Summer Game Fest. So it'll still be a while, but they'll wow us for sure. This will be a showstopper for sure.
However, there is something going on that does need to be addressed here because
Oh, we're
this
talking about a UFO table. Oh,
yeah, I saw this earlier today and I'm like, see,
well,
this is what happens when you
to be
push
fair,
when
around
you
this time
push
period, it would make more sense. It does make sense in context, actually. Even the Last Kingdom had a couple gay scenes as well. Game of Thrones as well. That's more of a hyper fantasy in a European setting. But to be fair, around that time period, there was some curiosity. To be fair, at least. To be fair, it's not like it's not recorded down. Like even Alexander the Great, he was known to be, you know,
very out there.
yes. So to be fair, it is in history. But then they say unskippable. Is it really unskippable or is it skippable?
Yeah, that's this is
I
I
think you
agree.
bring up a great point, Steve. That's a great point. Put that in air quotes.
Yeah, like right there, like the unskippable part, because I may not have played this game yet. However, is it really unskippable?
Or is that just clickbait just to get us to rage about stuff? Because how we've been fighting back a lot of the stuff, but
But
again,
remember,
as we
but
keep
that,
saying, rumor, it's a rumor at this point. It's a rumor.
and we all know for Saudi Arabia, we know what they're like,
They are
and
very strict about that stuff. Let's get
yeah,
that out of the room. They are very strict about that. Remember, Final Fantasy 16 had two gay people in it. Two of them. There was two of them. And what did Square Enix do? They just didn't ship it over there. They did not ship it. They said, nope, we're not gonna ship it over there. We don't care.
we're not gonna piss off the Ayatollah over there. We're not gonna piss him
Again,
off.
Dragon Age Inquisition back in 2014. Again, you're one of your companions, uh, the oh, what's his name? What's his name? The mage. If you helped out the mage in Inquisition during the first act, that guy, he is very much gay, and he does show it if you do pick the male character for your character customization, and if you do romance him, like yeah, he's gay, and it was not released in India because of that. But there also were females who were, lesbians in Dragon Age Inquisition as well. And I guess again, doesn't have to be shipped over there at all. So it's completely fine. And again, it's a rumor, it's an allegation. So who knows until we play the actual game? Where there's scenes like this in the OG game? Well, there was the bathhouse scene trying to get a bunch of girls, so yeah. So it's in line the first game as well, so yeah. It's there. I remember trying to watch Dash play Alan Wake, and every time we get far enough, there's an ad. I'm like, go away, ad. I want to see what Dash is doing.
Yeah. So what does this all mean, ladies and gentlemen? And remember, as the banner says, we're taking this with a grain of salt. So let's see what exactly happened here and what
to get them to this point.
Yeah, like where did we go? We're trying to find out where the point A is and figure out how we got to point B.
Hell, I'm gonna say it. They probably got too much. You probably got drunk during a side quest. Well, but the first time
that is true. That does happen. That does happen.
It does happen. Wouldn't be the first time. Even the first game, if you go out with Preach, the father one night, and if you guys do get drunk, he can't do the morning mass, so you have to do it. And if your reading skills are low, you can't quite read. But if they're high enough, along with your charisma and charm, you can persuade the people a little bit during the mass. So it happened. It's there. It's there. So what does this actually read? What does it actually say? Let's summarize this quickly.
Yes. A new rumor alleges that Warhorse Studios, which is a solid company, I heard good things from them. Upcoming release, A Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, will be banned in Saudi Arabia for unskippable gay scene. Now, look, ladies and gentlemen, we have nothing against the gay community and all of that. Heck, even our own friend. We have a mutual friend of ours who is gay, and we don't care that he is gay, and he is our friend no matter what. That said, Saudi Arabia news outlet VGA4A reported on X urgent and official. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 banned in Saudi Arabia due to unskippable game scenes in story mode. Get the hell out of here with that stupid thing. I hate it when that happens. In an article from the outlet's website, it stated, "It seems that the picture has become clear now, as the fate of the game will be to be banned from publication in the region. The game has also been banned in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia because it contains an immoral scene that promotes hidden agendas in video games." Furthermore, it noted the source also indicated that the game's developer refused to release a revised version specific to that region, which led to the ban decision. Another Saudi outlet, SaudiGamer.com, also reported Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has been officially banned in Saudi Arabia, and the reason seems to be a sex scene between two people with no ability to cancel or override the scene. As we've learned, it's more than a minute long. The developer does not appear to be working on a Middle Eastern version at this time. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has not officially made any announcement regarding whether or not the game will be banned. The game's creative director has recently been catering to gamers who are opposed to wokeness, including homosexual acts, feminism, and transgenderism. Back in December, he humiliated BioWare by comparing Kingdom Come Deliverance to Dragon Age: The Fail Guard. He wrote on X. I remember when this tweet came out. I was laughing my ass off on this one. I was laughing my ass off. because it's just so amazing how that happens. Um, so to sum it all up, um, a- until until the Ayatollah himself or whoever's in charge over there officially comes out and says, yes, we are going to have this game banned in this region, and all communications have failed with the developers of this. So, in essence, this is a game that is coming out. However, this right here, I highly suggest we take with a grain of salt, because if this turns out to be true, then I understand why Saudi Arabia is pissed. I understand. Damn it, Bacon. Why did you have to go there? Why did you have to go? Well, you ain't wrong. You are not wrong. Yes, I did.
I mean, God of War 3, if you do the mini game, those ladies were.
Yeah, agreed. And I agree, Steve. Even if they do ban it, they'll find a way to get it on there.
Just like with
However,
Australia, even they ban the game, those Aussies, they'll find a way to get the game on their accounts.
uh I'm gonna skip over the Melanie Mac bullshit because I already said my piece.
Eh,
I said my
we can
piece
do it,
already.
but the
No,
true colors are out, so we don't need to go over that.
yeah, we you and I both said our piece about her, so
Mhm.
it's all detailed. So let's see, what can I Oh, wait a minute. Joker, you might like this. We were just talking about this, by the way. We were just talking about this. There.
Hmm. No, we'll see if even Ubisoft survives. Would I like a remake to this game? Sure, why not? Why not? This will be the next step after 3. Remake this. I would love to see a remake. I would love to see some good improvements, especially with the combat. Maybe some more story beats in between here and there. It does make sense. It does make sense to remake this one. It would be great. I still think the first game needs that remake tremendously because a lot of people need to know where we started off from before we got to the stuff from 2 and onward. So this does make sense to remake it.
So what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen?
All
Assassin's Creed.
those fail. That's why.
Yep. According to an unnamed Ubisoft game designer's LinkedIn profile, the reported Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag remake is being developed on the upgraded Anvil engine and will be more than just a graphics overhaul. As reported by MP First, it will allegedly feature new systems concerning combat and wildlife, although what exactly that means is unclear right now. The team reportedly hopes that these changes, whatever they might be, will make the original as an outstanding game to rebirth as the next gen AAA game. There's that AAA. Jesus Christ, they can't help themselves sometimes. The LinkedIn profile combined with Ubisoft's CEO, who, in my honest opinion, needs to be fired, in my humble opinion, saying that players can be excited about some remakes, including older Assassin's Creed games, all but confirms that a Black Flag remake is underway. but details are incredibly scarce as it hasn't been officially announced yet. In all likelihood, we won't hear more until Shadows releases, which we all know that is heading. That's a runaway train running downhill, and at the end is the gorge. The tracks are gone, and at the bottom is nothing. It's just solid ground. That's the state of the Shadows game. That's where it's heading right now, ladies and gentlemen. Ocean bears. Now I would be interested to see how that would come
Sea
about.
bear.
I would be interested. Um I can actually see that, Steve. I can actually see that happening. That's how it is. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, the Valdez oil spill. I remember that. Oh my lord. Oh. So with that said, which was and everybody knows about that. That's all detailed on the delays and everything. Uh so it looks like they probably are going to push it to 2026 for this supposed Black Flag remake, which is which I understand because at least you have all that time to develop, all that time to get everything together. So I say go for it. However, I this remains to be seen because remember, um, Shadows is coming
They're
out in
traveling on their way out, actually. Too many games have failed to make up the revenue. They have shut down studios. They have shut down games. I'll never get a third South Park game, sadly. Ubisoft is an old company, and they're just terrible at business management, money management. There's been all these horror stories coming out as of lately, and they need a win, but I don't think they're going to get that win. That's why they're looking to be bought out, or at least. But I think we'll see them close down soon. I think we will. I think we will. Even if they do get saved, it will be a miracle if someone does save them.
yeah, I agree. I agree with both though. However,
But
it seems like it seems like, ladies and gentlemen, looks like the fans have finally. This is what we call a win right here, ladies and gentlemen. Type A and Type B to be replaced with male and female and Lords of the Fallen. The backlash was so severe. I remember when this came. I remember when this news broke that they were going to have Type A and Type B. It's like, why? Because remember, they ran a poll and 90%, that should be 100% actually, of respondents choose male and female from the poll. With that being said, it looks like we got some like a small victory in this one. And I'm happy to say that because with everything going on, what more can you do?
yep. Well, of course, I just don't like seeing Type A and Type B. Just say male and female. What's so bad about that?
Yep. Oh, and speaking of which, speaking of Sony Joker, I know I know I covered this in the beginning, but I'm bringing and since I'm bringing you up to speed on everything,
Okay.
I need your take on this because I think the consensus is Sony has not learned. Sony has not
What's going
learned.
on?
Sony ignores Helldivers 2
Oh,
backlash with The Last of Us 2 The Last of Us Part 2 PC port PSN login demand. They haven't learned. They haven't learned their lesson.
for a single player game that has no multiplayer, no anything else. It's dumb. It's ridiculous, especially in regions that do not offer PSN or if it's just limited by access. It's like we always said with those online season pass stuff, which back in the old days, which we did not need at all. This is just pointless. This is just stupid. Like for a single player game that needs a PSN login. Like what am I gonna do with my login? Like you could simply say just connect to the account, but why do I need that? Even as a PC user myself, I hate having stuff like that. I always need to log in despite me playing an offline game. It's ridiculous. And you know what? Like you said, they didn't learn, and fans keep pushing back until they say, "Fine, we'll remove it." Especially with Helldivers too. Like it's ridiculous. It's dumb. It's stupid. Let's move on. No, no, they're not learning.
And they never will. They never will. So here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. This is for this is for everybody that's caught up. Sony has confirmed that The Last of Us Part 2 remaster will require a PSN login for its PC release. The bigger issue with this, as Joker has stated, is the regions that don't have that Sony has no PSN connections to. And remember, Helldivers 2 came out last year. And that fiasco. And remember, this isn't the first time. God of War Ragnarok also has that dumbass requirement. It's just like it's just like how how many times do we need to teach you this lesson, old man? It's like that basically. They just we give them the backlash, we give them flack and everything, and they just sit there laughing at us. They just sit there like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize how stupid I was." I swear, it's just they're just asking. They're just asking for. They're just asking for it at this point. They just don't want to admit that they are wrong. I I ponder sometimes what they were really gonna do.
And it's not healthy. That's how they're
It,
gonna
it,
lose their customer base.
yeah, because not only are you alienating, you're not only alienating the PC people, you're alienating the people on PSN and everything. You're alienating both groups at the same time, simultaneously, with this bullshit. They just don't know. They won't learn, and it's like, why are we doing this to ourselves? They really do not know what they want. It's like, well then, we'll just have to worry about this, that, and the other. But with that said, though, they they're gonna really they're gonna rue the day. They are gonna rue the day when it really bites them in the ass. And it's something that no one wants to look. It's something that they're gonna really regret later on in life and everything. When you really think about it. But that's yeah, exactly. It's to that point right there, ladies and
Well,
gentlemen.
it's also that, but also at the same time in other news for Microsoft, like, I have no idea what they're doing with their gaming division. Like Game Pass, I think Game Pass truly has been a that double-edged sword. It's very much convenient to have, but when you realize that all their big games, the ones that should make them a lot of money, that will arrive on Game Pass, you don't need to buy a game. Well, you can still buy the game, but Game Pass is like very much convenient. Kind of like became the Netflix version for Microsoft. I feel like that's really hurt them sales wise. Because why would I buy a console? I can buy a PC and then get Game Pass on my PC and be like, hey, look at that, all the games I want to play.
Precisely that. And now to
And
some. Oh, go ahead.
oh, no, no, that's it.
Let's see. Oh, darn it. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me be very clear here on this. This anime news with what we are going to be starting about is a very serious topic. However,
Ooh,
we're going to try and and cover this as best as we humanly can, given the nature of what is happening.
oh yes.
So, here's what's going on. Your name producer please for light sentencing amid child prostitution
Ooh,
trial.
ooh.
So now with this going on, I say we're gonna try and cover this as best as we can, given the state of nature and everything. Now before you pull up your pitchforks and everything and shout obscenities at the dude, this is a very serious matter, and it sucks that it's from somebody prominent in the world of anime. So here's what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. Your name producer Koichiro Ito is asking for a light sentencing after admitting guilt in a child prostitution trial. As reported by Japanese publication NHK News, representative for Ito claimed that the disgraced producer has reached a settlement with 2 out of the 3 victims and that he will participate in counseling to reduce the risk of him repeating his crimes. The defense is asking for a suspended sentence. The verdict for the trial is set to be decided on February 28th. Wow, that's my birthday, actually. How ironic. And if Ito's pleas are denied, he could face up to 6 years in prison. It is unclear at this time how likely or unlikely Ito's request for leniency will be, though the prosecution seems set on fighting it. During the trial, the prosecution said it is cunning and vicious to take advantage of a victim's immaturity and seduce them with money to commit a crime. This goes on further to say that Koichiro Ito's prostitution trial is just the latest in a long line of scandals. So this is not the first thing. Though Ito has a long history in the anime industry, he is most famous for his work producing some of the most acclaimed films from director Makoto Shinkai, Your Name, Weathering with You, and Suzume.
Basically, I'll produce a lot of his earlier stuff to later stuff, so that makes it even worse.
However, when Ito was accused of soliciting inappropriate pictures from a minor in February of 2024, the acclaimed director was quick to express empathy for Ito's victims while distancing himself from the producer. So good on the director to see, hey, when there's smoke, there's fire. And we found that fire. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's be very clear here. Let's be very clear. In the world of anime and gaming and entertainment alike, this stuff happens more than we want to admit.
But sadly, that is the truth.
And it's the brutal truth.
In general.
In general, it's the most brutal truth. And reporting this is a lot harder than anything because it's from directors and producers of all the animes that we love and enjoy. And in this case, this right here is not one of those sweep under the rug type deals. This is serious manners right here. No, I'm actually a leap year person. My birthday's on the 29th, but we celebrate it on the 28th. That aside, we don't like when this stuff happens. But like we said, this is the brutal truth, the brutal reality of the world. And unfortunately, it comes from the people that we hailed as like the best producer of this film and everything. And it's really heartbreaking because there is no way to dance around this. There is no way to dance around it because it's a serious crime. But what's even more shocking is that the producer is pleading for a light sentencing. That's the craziness to this whole thing. Now, it's one thing on his part to admit guilt, which is the right thing to do. Don't get me wrong here. However, on the same merit, it's entirely wrong on so many scales that even the director himself is looking at that producer and is like, I don't want to work with you. I don't even want. and
Like
everything, and
he's
you
trying to
can't
to get away
really
from it.
blame him. You can't really blame
This is
him.
the guy who has helped him produce all of his feature length films, and it's like I trusted you as a co-partner in all my adventures, but no longer. And I'm glad the director is saying, nope, he was just my producer. I know nothing about all this, which is the best thing to say.
Yeah, this is this came to light of that very crime. This is his response to that crime. It reads, I was shocked to see the news of the arrest of those involved in the production. First of all, I would like to express my heartfelt condolences to the victim. I am also truly sorry for causing anxiety to everyone who loves and supports the production. I believe that the value of the work will not be diminished as a result of this incident, but I am sure that it will inevitably be viewed with distrust by the public. This makes me feel very frustrated and sad. And he is right. He is very right in the matter. Because remember, everybody comes together and builds up a project like Your Name or all these other
Suzume,
Suzume and all the other prominent films. Hey, what's up, Mig? What's up, MGTOW? What's up, buddy? And it just takes one. It takes one thing. All those awards, all those speeches, gone because of one thing. That's all it takes, ladies and gentlemen, is just that one thing. No matter if you're the producer, the director, the actor, actress, costume designer,
it
the guy.
doesn't matter where your position is. All it takes is one, and then, well, that's it. That's the end of history. I still remember like Sean Levy with making the Predators. Apparently, his friend was was just like a very side character, an extra. But when it was found out that like, oh wait, he was did something I cannot see on here, but it made the actress very uncomfortable when she found out that I shared a scene with this guy. So like, I think for did I think Sean did not know until the trial happened. So a different scenarios, different situation. That actor's been in other films beforehand, which is like before the incident, but it's like,
But
like even
with
like the recent stuff with Brie Larson and the other guy. Well, like I not Brie Larson, Blake Lively and the other guy, but it's like I'm like, give me just at the very least see what all the evidence and facts are before we say something. I know there's a counter lawsuit right now, but all it takes is one person to come out and say something, and then everything's over. Or you do one thing, it's all over.
mhm. So it goes on to say, given that Ito has now admitted guilt, it's only natural to wonder what happens next. Unfortunately, it's difficult to say how likely or unlikely it is that Ito will get the suspended sentence his team is asking for. Regardless of the judge's verdict, though, what seems more likely is that Ito's career in producing anime is likely done for, and that's the sad outcome for any person. And this right here, Tuxedo Mask and Sabo voice actor Toru Furuya was embroiled in a scandal involving a protracted affair, though he was never charged or even accused of a crime. He ultimately stepped down from numerous roles in huge anime series, while some creators, such as Rurouni Kenshin creator Nobuhiro Watsuki, who was charged with possession of CP, can can come out of a scandal relatively unscathed, it's difficult to imagine the same happening for Ito. While prominent figures like Watsuki were only given minor fines or just face saves a public backlash, the prospect of Ito facing jail time significantly hurts his chances of finding a job in the entertainment industry again. Regardless of what happens with Ito's trial, fans of Makoto Shinkai movies like Your Name should feel confident that they won't be seeing Ito's name popping up in the credits for future movies. So, in essence of that, ladies and gentlemen, this is what is really known is that that career is over. This is the death nail to any career, no matter like as Silent Joker says, no matter what position you are in a project or in the entertainment industry, it's that one thing that ruins the whole thing for good. You will no longer see your name on the credit list. You will no longer see that. No one will want to work with you, given the horrendous crimes and everything. Now, look, I love Rurouni Kenshin as much as the next person, and I understand, given the severity of what happened, I still love it regardless. However, with the producer pulling this stuff right here for for uh for something as egregious as this, I cannot forgive. I cannot. That's like that's like asking for a lighter sentence for Minecrafting somebody. Actually, Bacon brings up a very good point. That's a very good point. And we will never know why. We will never know. On the But to answer your second question, Bacon, most likely it would have come out one way or another. One way or another, this would have came out. But the fact that this happened is very unforgivable. And it's sad when you're a fan of like such movie, like of such content and everything. It's so heartbreaking because it's like, great, now I can't look at that movie again without without um looking at it.
Like there was a manga that was about like was it a guy in the fashion industry, and there was like this young girl trying to get into it, and he's like, "All right, one thing leads to another," but he said like, "I will help you get into the industry," and there is very much a panel about, he's an older gentleman, he's doing her hair. Turns out there was like an anime plan for this manga. I could be wrong, but all of a sudden the creator is arrested for crimes against humanity. So now you have to say, wait, was he thinking about that when drawing it? So that makes it even more disturbing now. So it's like, that's the one I remember from way back in the day. I'm like, hmm. So I'm like, you just say now, you never know. It's not even just this as well. I'm sure you heard about this little book called Them Lovely Bones,
Mm-hmm.
and how that author, she lied about what truly happened. Yep, that author lied about all this stuff. Turns out the guy she accused was actually innocent and everything. And now you have to look back at those scenes and them leveling bones and say, did did like does she like this stuff? It makes you question a lot of things now. It truly does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
mean, the guy got his life back and everything, but all it took was one person to lie, and then his life is ruined. She writes a book, and now it's like the sheep. I don't know. It's not just like real intention is one thing, but I know what you're saying. People are going to say, but didn't he, like, I mean, not be in jail, but again, we're trying to talk about this stuff. It's very sensitive. And it's like they have their way, we have our way. Sadly, that's the sad truth about it, though. To the Japanese people, he served the sentence, served his time, and he's free. But I do want to say, Bacon brings up a good point. Then why is Ito coming out now, admitting to the stuff? It does make my brain go into overdrive a little bit to be like, okay, why is he admitting it now? Is it a lesser sentence? Did he get a plea deal going? I don't know, but if he didn't, it probably would have been a bit higher. Because that is a good point. Because normally when you admit to stuff, you're saying that, yeah, I did all this stuff. So it would be a higher sentence. Unless there's more behind the scenes that we don't know about. That's the sad truth right now. So we'll just have to wait and see what else comes out of this.
Yeah, and again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very serious.
Sensitive. So we're trying to be very careful with this, very careful.
But then again,
at the end of the day, it's over. It's all over for this gentleman. No more producing credits. They'll probably be removed from a lot of different future releases. I mean, again, if you want to look at us here in America, look at, again, the Me Too movement against Harvey Weinstein and many others. Weinstein was a pig. Everyone knew this. There's one thing he did have, which we all admit. He was great at finding undiscovered talent. Like, he had that talent, but he was a pig. He was a slob, and everybody knew it.
That he was. And remember, guys, the reason why we do cover news like this is to inform and give our honest opinions on it. And our takes on it. Now, what Ito did was horrifically wrong and should not be defended or condoned in any fashion. I don't care who it is.
This is where you now grab your pitchforks and torch.
Yes, and but also, but what's also even more disturbing is that he's asking for a lighter sentencing, which makes the situation even 10 times worse. On the one hand, he could just sit there and be like, oh, I'm not going to say nothing. I'm not going to say nothing. But
if he does say something, does that mean he goes down even further the rabbit hole? Once you start, there is no stopping. It's just going to go on and on and on until there's no bottom of that rabbit hole. It's like a sinkhole at that point.
Which is really sad, because it's like the dude's a renowned producer and everything, and he's tied to probably one of the coolest directors out there behind those wonderful films and everything. And now it not only hurts his career, but at the same time, it makes the director look bad. And now you gotta wonder how much, and we have to look at the director. We have to look at the director now, which is sad. That's the hard.
Unfortunately, it's both a yes and then again, how much did he know or not know?
And that's and that's the crazy part of this whole thing, because it's like, on the one hand, we applaud the director for speaking on this manner and taking his stance. But on the other side of that coin, ladies and gentlemen, how much did he really know about all
Some
this?
people don't know until it's public knowledge, or again, like with Weinstein, everybody knew about Weinstein, yet they kept hush hush about it until it reached that tipping point.
So, with all of that, we're going to leave it up to the courts and everything to see what they are going to do as this progresses. But in lighter news, Rent a Girlfriend season 4 announces July 2025 release window and more.
Well, okay, Rent a Girlfriend is, you know, it has its audience, so yay for Rent a Girlfriend. Yay for Rent a Girlfriend. I was
Exactly.
not for JoJo Part 7.
Yeah. Let's see. Trying to find
What about the news
someone.
about UFO Table with their movies that they're making? I sent you that earlier.
Oh, let me find that actually. Hang on.
Yeah, this is something going to be good to talk about announcing stuff too soon, or yeah, I gotta wonder where all the manpower are right now.
Uh, the final wait, the Final Fantasy one.
UFO Table, UFO Table. Should be in the DMs, right?
Uh, I see the Todd McFarlane. Uh, Final Fantasy VII remake. A cosplayer. The trans women thing. I don't think I see it. Or did
Keep
I?
going.
Uh, there's the Todd McFarlane. UFO table. Uh, crap. Uh-oh, I don't. Uh, Hang on one second, ladies and gentlemen. Do you have it still, Joker? Do you still
Yeah,
have
I
it?
still have it.
Can you actually put it in private chat and I'll click it from there. Oh, hang on, McTell. That is very true. That's true. It's a really it's a really difficult topic next to the to the industry layouts and everything that we keep seeing. But it's also one of those topics where where do you where do you draw the line? Morally and everything, it's like, ugh. However, in movie in movie coming up, I did see the trailer for Ballerina. I'm very excited.
John Wick ballerina.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm like, oh, I like
It
this.
is Anya Taylor Joy, so that should be very interesting. I'm watching the Korean ballerina before I popped on here. Very good, actually. So very interesting. I like how there's a lot of saturation in the happy moments, so that was pretty good. And I just put it in the private link in the private chat right now. So
All
about the
right.
UFO table stuff.
So this there's Outlaw.
Oh,
Hey,
there's a lot.
What's
so
up? What's
Joker, walk us through this, my friend. Walk us through
Okay,
this.
so I'll walk it through this. So about like a few years back ago, there was an announcement for a collaboration with China and UFO to bring us a Genshin Impact project. So it's like, oh, there's a TV anime in the works. But sadly, I have no idea what's going on over there at UFO Table, the main animation production company. Apparently, according to this, it's taken a while due to animators being busy on the Demon Slayer Infinite Castle arc. This will be their final arc from Demon Slayer, and another project taking a quite amount of resources. And it's probably also why we're not quite seeing the film adaptation yet of Witch on Holy Night, another visual novel by Type Moon yet still. So we have yet to see that and like be given some significant updates to that. So this is taking a bit some time, but it's totally understandable on why it is taking so long. That anime for Genshin was announced 3 years ago, too soon. So, and if you're kind of spread thin or animators are doing other work, it is going to take a while to come out. So it, it is interesting to see that okay, they don't do too much for UFO tables, so that's a good thing. But the downside is a lot of these announcements, they're definitely to build up hype into anticipation, but also to show investors, shareholders that we're currently working on this. So in the future, because we all know how it is for video games as well. They announce stuff. It's going to be a while to get into the works, but eventually stuff will come out. Like a long takes to get a Blade video game or Wolverine. They're announced in advance to kind of attract attention to it. So this is something to be a little bit more concerning. So you're hoping they're not overworked because, good lord, because that Japanese animation industry is just terrible with its animators, and you're just wondering, are they even going to see this as well?
Hmm. And that's what's really sad because we don't know what is going on over there. Oop,
I mean,
ah,
the take Studio Mappa with the Yuri on Ice film that was worked on for I don't know how many years, or if it just never gained the resources to manpower needed until they just said like it sadly was slowly canceled as time went on.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward with that. And UFO Table are really damn good animators. They're really damn good ones. And it would be nice to see a Genshin Impact anime. I say
Well, it's still very hot right now before it
yes.
loses momentum. I know that Blizzard is trying to do an Overwatch animation show, but at that same time, it's too little, too late. The hype for Overwatch really died down, and now it's years too late. If that was in the first few years, I would totally be understandable, but not really. So I'm not that interested unless it's really, really good.
What's up, Phil? Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I decided to go with Sailor Jupiter this time.
yeah, nice.
All right, well, you guys have fun. I'm gonna head to bed now. Like, whew.
Uh oh.
Right. Um, yeah, we could slow. I'm about to wind down the stream,
All right.
but with everything. Oh wait, hold on. What's I know this news is probably I want to say close to a week old, but but there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, all right. Well, what's this?
This April, Clamp
Oh,
finally. So while we end it on this note right here, let's end it on this note. I know this news is a little old, but hey, good news is good news regardless. So, what's
That's
going
right.
on? Let's see. So the XXX Holic series has seen a number of adaptations over the years, from anime to live action, but it's been a while since we got some new manga. Now, famed manga author group Clamp officially has more XXX Holic Ray manga on the way, with the series set to resume in the pages of Kodasha's weekly Young magazine on April 21st. The last time we had a run of new chapters for Holic Ray was from June 2016 to March 2017. Its publication has been irregular since it launched in 2013, including a hiatus that ran from July 2014 to April 2015. Previous plans had set to return in spring of 2 years ago, but it didn't pan out till now. Kodansha publishes the series in English and describes it like so. So this is actually pretty cool that we're actually getting that we finally got some new manga for the chaotic series that is XX Holic. And I say a bloody good time. But it's nice to know that this series is getting much needed fresh air and everything. With that but with that said though, I'm pretty excited for what's coming out in this year and what's going on and in the happenings and all that. Joker, what are your final thoughts, buddy? I know you have to go, so I'm gonna ask you your final thoughts.
well, it's interesting that series is coming back with more work. So at least it ended on a positive note, and I and it's Clamp, so they always make good works and everything. So sadly, some of our other favorite series will unfortunately either never continue or they're just kind of like stopping. Like Nana, I know that's a sad one for me since I really like the anime, and sadly, the manga will never continue due to that. Authors always health issues, which is very sad to see such a good series come to an abrupt end, and where it is in the current state of the manga, or like if you could be like High School of the Dead, where sadly the creator passes away and we'll never see more chapters be made, or you could be several different ones that are able to continue even without the creator due to having a lot of uh, like everything was prepared ahead of time. Like think about Berserk, like everything is planned out, and it's like we will get the ending that Mira always had in mind with all the apprentice and the assistants. So I think that's positive for me as a Berserk fan. I don't know what would happen to JoJo if Araki were to suddenly, bite the bullet. I could only be like, ooh, how many more parts do we have left? It's supposed to be like a big family saga, like, even in the new world, even in the new timeline. So,
And on top of that, and also Slayers is getting a new project pretty soon as well, which is nice. I'm glad that the classics that you, me, and many others grew up with are doing something new with while still keeping the lore and everything that's established already going. However, with that said, um, given the state of everything, it's pretty clear where we are at in the current state of both the anime world and in the gaming world, respectively. We have a brand new game coming out. We have a bunch of brand new games coming out. That Dawn Walker one, that one looks really cool. I cannot wait to hear more about that one as the months progress. Fingers crossed it doesn't get delayed. Fingers crossed, because we need a concurrent game to come out right on time here. MGTOW,
Hmm.
what about you, buddy? I know
yeah,
you're
Well, what's the old saying about assumptions? Makes an ass out of you and me, right?
right.
Whatever, whatever we personally believe about, and I'm coming into the conversation late, so I don't really know what you guys were talking about before this. It sounded like somebody got outed as one of those types of people, based upon what I heard. A pig, right?
Yeah, because that was a heavy hitter topic for the anime news section. But again, like I mentioned though, me and Joker and a whole bunch of other content creators that do this type of stuff, we report it with as best as we humanly can without letting
Hmm.
our emotions get the better of us and cloud our judgment. We try and at least explain
Yeah.
why this is happening and where and how we got to here.
Hmm.
We as much as we could dance around the whole topic and everything, it's not easy. It's not.
Yeah.
And the sad reality is this stuff does happen on the daily basis,
Hmm.
no matter where it is or who it is. And that's just the sad reality of it in all the worlds. But that's what
Well,
happened.
like with Vic Mignogna, like with a lot of these people, I wait for the evidence and facts to come out before I get emotionally involved. Um, it's just how I am. That's
same
one
as
thing
well.
I've learned. So, you know, because history has shown us that sometimes people alive, sometimes they were correct. So I always question everything. I tell people that numerous times. I always question stuff. Even when you're presented something, always question it. Never take it at face value. Always question it. So that's all I can say about that.
Yeah, that's just it's really wild, the stuff that me and Joker and some prominent people report on and everything. Cuz it makes you think like this. There's no way that this can be real. There's no way that this can be real or this is
Right.
happening, but it really is. Now, now with the Saudi Arabia ban, I still say take that with a grain of salt. I still say take that news with a
We gotta
grain.
wait till the full game comes out and be like, is this really unskippable? Because there were scenes that were skippable in Kindergarten's Deliverance, besides the
Mm,
ones that they really didn't want you to quite skip out on yet.
mm. But with that said, this has been a very chaotic, thought-provoking, and really one giant fun nightcast that we do. We love doing this. This is
Hopefully,
growing
McDowell
into.
can make it sooner next time.
No, you're good, Joker. I understand. I understand Wi-Fi issues. I understand because remember, my stuff was kicking in and out before we got that new router going. So, so I understand. I don't. I fully understand. But but yeah. But Joker again. Thank you for your insights on this and also providing some new topics as well to talk about and everything. I do like the initiative that you do take, like, hey, let's talk about this on Nightcast and everything. So I do appreciate the effort you do and everything. I do appreciate that.
Mhm.
Um MGTOW, I know you were really late
Mhm.
to the party, but I do appreciate you being here though. I always
Oh yeah.
appreciate.
Anytime.
Um the replay will be fully up and you should be able to catch up with everything that's been discussed about because it's really thought-provoking how far we go into all of this. And
Yeah.
I gotta say it's fun when we do stuff like this, like when we talk about the news and the happenings in the world of gaming and anime, just to build, well, it's one of two things. Number one, we want to inform the public of what is going on. Because on the outside, we're all gamers, we're all having fun, but we also like to show the reality behind it as well without alienating them. And hey, Oilers fan, what's up, buddy? Uh,
What's on, brother?
but also we tell it like it is. We may not fully agree with everything that goes on, but we still give our honest thoughts on it regardless of the topic.
Hmm.
But we do take rumor stuff very with like grains of salt. We'll still report on it and everything and give our pre thoughts on it before we get the full product and everything to um before we get to the full verdict. I have seen Bleach. Yes, they're really good. They're good. Um, however, with that said, thank you guys again for coming on by for another edition of Nightcast. I love doing this. I'm glad Joker's here to help with his knowledge and everything. I'm glad MGTOW was able to come on and say hi and everything. I appreciate all the lovely people who are here, even the ones on Twitter who stuck around and watched this whole mess of this whole show and everything. Thank you to Sailor Outlaw. Thank you to Out of Service, James, Shiny, Riggs, the wonderful co-host that is Eagle Rider, Ghost of Niccolo, Forge, Vanessa Kitty, Trump Tuber Sunflower, uh, Coop, Callie,
CT Designs.
T-Gap Steve for being a wonderful person today. Uh, Tom Laundry and Bacon. And where is he? Where is that prominent dude? Alrighty, Big Angry Phil. And also Oilers fan for all of you for coming on by and everything. I appreciate everybody's take from the audience. We love doing this. Um, Unfortunately, like I mentioned in my stream schedule, the DVD player is down. But as luck would have it, I get paid in 2 days. So I will be buying a Blu-ray player, and we will resume the watch party. Stay tuned for the announcement on that one once I fully get it set up and everything. Shouldn't be
Alright.
shouldn't be too difficult to set up, but we'll see. But at least it'll open more doors for more watch parties of those Blu-ray of the ones that are on Blu-ray. So we'll have more options, which is a good thing because we like more options.
Yes, I do.
With that said, guys, I am gonna get out of here. Joker, again, thank you again. MGTOW,
Mm-hmm.
glad to see
Mm-hmm.
you again, buddy. We will talk again soon. Check out everybody's content and support the channels that come by. Really, really wonderful people. They make wonderful content. Support, and trust me, you will not regret it. Anyway, guys, I am out of here. Take it easy.